Welcome to Dharma in Motion, a space where we slow down together, listen to our breath, and let the Buddha's teachings flow gently into each moment of life. This is a sanctuary for souls seeking stillness amid the noise of the world, where every spoken word becomes a seed of understanding and compassion. If you are listening to this episode at night, relax your whole body, put your phone down, softly close your eyes, and let this sound guide you through each breath. We will talk slowly, like two old friends meeting again at dusk. Perhaps you have heard the saying, "The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete." It sounds simple, yet living by it is not easy. For within us, everyone has a part that craves recognition, that wants to be right, that doesn't want their words to be disregarded. However, the Buddha taught, to conquer thousands in battle is not as great as to conquer oneself. Victory in the world only feeds the ego, but victory within brings true peace. In life, sometimes just a word, a glance, or a small misunderstanding can make us upset all day. Some people lose sleep over a single criticism, a comment on social media, or a careless word from a loved one. The words of others, if we take them to heart, can become arrows piercing our soul. But if we understand the root of suffering, we'll see that pain does not come from the words themselves, but from our choice to let them linger too long. The Buddha taught that the words of the world are like passing wind. Our mind is the door. If we open it to welcome the wind, it enters and shakes the whole room. But if we close it, keeping stillness within, no matter how strong the wind blows, it only passes by and fades away. Suffering doesn't come from the wind, but from forgetting that we can close the door. One who understands the Dharma knows how to stop, knows when to be silent, knows that truth needs no defense, and peace of mind needs no argument. When the mind is calm, praise and blame, victory and defeat are like the moon reflected on water, beautiful yet untouchable. When someone says something that hurts you, your instinct is to fight back, to explain, to prove you're not wrong. But if at that very moment you can take a deep breath and keep your mind still for just a second, you'll see that those words are only echoes, not real. When you don't receive them, they cannot harm you. Wisdom in life is not in arguing who's right or wrong, but in keeping one's heart from being swept away. The wise do not argue because they understand that winning an argument has never brought happiness. It's easy to defeat another person, but conquering one's own anger is true wisdom. Think about it. How many times have you argued to prove your point only to end up exhausted? How many times have you won in words but lost in love? Often, if we could just say one less sentence, compete a little less, we might keep a relationship, a peaceful evening, and a kind heart. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the strength of one who knows the value of peace. The more one understands the Dharma, the less one feels the need to prove anything. They choose silence not out of fear, but because they know that every word of contention only fuels the fire within. Someone may ask, what if I'm misunderstood? What if my silence makes others think wrongly of me? The Buddha said, if it is untrue, it will fall away like dust. If it is true, you have no need to explain. Time is the loyal friend of truth. Let what must shine, shine. As for us, just keep the mind unclouded. In modern life, we are used to reacting quickly. The phone rings, we must answer. A comment appears online, we must reply. But such speed often steals our mindfulness. The Buddha taught that between stimulus and response, there is always a pause. Whoever can rest in that pause masters themselves. Just one mindful breath is enough to see clearly. Am I speaking from wisdom or from pride? Am I reacting or responding? When you see clearly, you will no longer be controlled by others' words. You will choose silence, choose a smile, choose stillness. And in that moment, you have already won. Not over the other person, but over your own anger. The Buddha once said, No one can throw a stone into a still pond and make it stay muddy forever. Anger, words, gossip, all are stones thrown into the lake of our mind. If we keep stirring, the water will remain murky, but if we stay still, it clears by itself. Peace comes when we know how to stop, to breathe, to smile, and to let go. Tonight, before you sleep, try a small practice. Sit quietly, breathe in, and silently say, I return. Breathe out and say, I let go. Breathe in and recognize what has stirred your heart today. Breathe out and allow it all to dissolve like morning mist. When the mind is calm, others' words are only gentle breezes. When the heart is bright, darkness fades away. The wise do not argue, for they know every word carries karma. The enlightened do not compete, for they know peace cannot be bought with reasoning. When we stay silent at the right moment, we lose nothing, only what was not worth keeping, and gain the lightness of peace within. Remember, peace does not come from someone else being silent, but from our ability to stop before we speak. Because once spoken, words can be like a cool breeze that soothes the heart, or like an invisible blade that severs countless connections. Life is short. Choose to speak gently, keep a pleasant heart, and live kindly. A kind word can sometimes be worth more than 100 teachings. A moment of timely silence can sometimes save an entire life. That is the spirit of Dharma in motion. Movement within stillness, understanding within peace, living within compassion. In the next part, we will go deeper into the mind is the door. Words are like passing wind. To better understand how to remain unmoved amid the praise and criticism of the world. Now just take a deep breath, let go of all the noise within, and smile softly. Peace is already here, right in this very moment. There are days when our hearts feel heavy, not because of work or money, but because of a few fleeting words. A familiar person speaks harshly, someone misunderstands, or even a stranger's comment online lingers in our mind. Others' words, though they seem like mere breezes, can sway our whole being. The Buddha taught that the mind is the door, and others' words are the wind. The wind may be strong, cold, or fierce, but if the door of the mind is closed properly, it remains unmoved. When we open it too wide, the wind rushes in and disturbs everything inside. But if we gently close it, keeping the stillness within, no matter how wild the wind becomes, it simply passes by without shaking us. In the end, life cannot escape praise and blame. People have countless opinions, and no one can please everyone. Today they praise. Tomorrow they may criticize. Today they support. Tomorrow they may turn away. If we care too much about every word, we will be dragged endlessly by those winds, never finding peace. But if we learn to stand still in the wind, we will see that others' words are like rustling leaves, present then gone. There is a short story in the scriptures. One day, the Buddha was walking for alms. A man, filled with anger, followed him and insulted him for a long distance. The Buddha continued walking silently with a peaceful face. When the man ran out of words, the Buddha turned, smiled, and asked, "If someone gives you a gift, but you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "Of course it remains with the giver." The Buddha said, "Likewise, you have given me your insults, but I do not accept them. They remain yours." Hearing this, the man was stunned. He suddenly felt small, while the Buddha appeared vast, not in body, but in a mind unshaken by the world's words. This is something each of us can learn. When someone says something hurtful, we have the right to choose whether to accept it. If we accept, we carry that negativity within. If we do not, it returns to where it came from and fades in the wind. In modern life, when everything moves fast and social media allows anyone to speak anything, praise and criticism reach us more often than ever. A post, a photo, a decision, even a casual remark. all can draw countless opinions. Without inner strength, we are easily swept into that whirlpool, joyful when praised, distressed when criticized. But those who understand the Dharma do not let their hearts sway with every word. They know that both praise and blame are wind. The wind of praise inflates the ego. The wind of blame stirs pride. Both disrupt balance. Only when the mind is still like a calm lake can we clearly see our true reflection. A Zen master once said, "If someone calls me foolish, I simply smile. If it's true, they are right. If it's false, there's no need to mind." That saying is simple yet full of the wisdom of letting go. We suffer because we try to control others' words, while the only thing we can truly control is our reaction. When the mind is calm, every sound becomes transparent. We still hear, but are not swept away. We still know, but our heart does not drift. Silence does not mean not hearing. Silence means hearing with wisdom, not emotion. Once, a woman came to a Zen master and said, "Master, I suffer deeply when I hear others speak ill of me. I don't understand why they do it." The master smiled, poured her a cup of tea, and said, "You see, tea is hot because of boiling water, not because of the teapot. If you want it to cool, just let it rest. People speak ill of you and you suffer because inside you there is already a fire of pride. If you let your heart cool down, their words will no longer hurt you." That teaching is simple yet profoundly deep. People may speak, but we can choose how to respond. The steadier the heart, the weaker the wind. So whenever you hear something unpleasant, try a small practice. Pause and breathe. Breathe in deeply, breathe out slowly. Breathe in, knowing you're hearing something difficult. Breathe out, knowing you don't have to react right away. Just one breath can pull you out of the storm, and in that moment, you are in control of yourself. Silence is not defeat. It is the deepest form of victory. Victory over the self that wants to react, to respond, to prove. When you remain silent before what is wrong, time itself will speak for you. But if you lose your calm, even the truth becomes distorted. Let every word of others pass through your mind without leaving a trace. Like sitting by a stream, hearing the murmur of water. The sound is real, but you don't cling to it or chase it. You simply listen, then let go. The more one grows in wisdom, the less one is shaken by others' words. For they understand that what others say reflects their own mind, not our nature. When someone is angry, they reveal their own suffering. Instead of reacting, we can feel compassion. Seeing someone in anger, we need not be angry too. Seeing someone lost, we simply smile and keep our peace. The wise do not argue, for they know arguments bring no true understanding. The enlightened do not compete, for they know that all victories and defeats are illusions. What is most precious in life is not reasoning, but the peace of the heart. When we learn to release others' words from our hearts, life becomes weightless. We can sit beneath a tree, listen to the wind passing through without caring which direction it blows, because what matters is not the direction of the wind, but whether our mind stands firm. Tonight, before you sleep, you might ask yourself, how many times have I let the winds of life sway my heart? Then take a deep breath, exhale, smile softly and whisper, "From now on, I will learn to close the door of my mind, so the wind remains only as wind." Peace does not come from the outside. Peace appears only when we no longer let life's winds shake our hearts. In the next part, we will explore when the mind is moved, the winds of life stir, the root of wounding, to understand why small words can hurt so deeply and how to free ourselves from that spiral of pain. There is a truth that is gentle yet profound. It is not words that wound us, but our mind allowing them to touch us. Like when the wind rises, if we hold a dry leaf, it trembles and shatters. But if we hold a small stone, no matter how strong the wind blows, it cannot move it. The dry leaf is the fragile mind. The stone is the steady mind. The root of suffering, therefore, does not lie in the winds of life, but in our inability to remain still. The scriptures teach the mind is like water. When the water is clear, the moon reflects naturally. But if we stir the water with emotions, anger, and reactions, the moon cannot be seen. Likewise, when we care too much about praise or blame, others' words become stones dropped into the lake of our mind, creating ripples that blur our own reflection. Every person has a weakness, the desire to be understood, to be loved, to be recognized. Because of that desire, we are easily hurt. When others say something we dislike, we feel rejected. When someone doesn't listen, we feel dismissed. But if we look deeper, we will see that those who hurt us are not truly the cause. It is our own ego wanting to be right, to be loved, to be praised. The Buddha once said, "The wise do not seek validation from the outside, for they know true value lies within." A peaceful person does not need others' praise to know they are on the right path. They simply look within. Is my action kind? Is my speech right? Is my heart pure? If these three are firm, then no words from others can disturb them. Someone once asked me, "How can I not feel sad when misunderstood?" The answer is simple. Understand that misunderstanding is a natural part of life. Others do not live in our hearts, do not know what we've been through, so they see from their own angle. If we keep trying to explain ourselves, the more we speak, the more we may be misunderstood. But if we quietly do what is right, time will prove it. Look at the lotus. It never goes around explaining that it is not the mud. It simply blooms, radiates fragrance, and by that, people see that the mud cannot stain it. Likewise, when we live rightly, no matter who misunderstands, the truth still shines like the lotus's scent in a muddy pond. The wise do not argue, not because they suppress themselves, but because they understand that truth needs no words, only time. They are not swept by the winds of life, for they know that when the mind stirs, we lose ourselves. When the mind is still, the winds of life are but part of the scenery, unable to harm us. Wounding, in truth, is the echo of an unhealed heart. When someone touches an old wound, we feel pain, but that pain does not come from the present. It arises from the past still unhealed. Sometimes a careless word reminds us of old rejections, scorn, or abandonment, and we react, not to today's person, but to the memory of every past hurt. That is why the Buddha taught us to observe our mind. Whenever we feel uneasy, instead of blaming others, look within. Why do I feel hurt? Which wound in me has just been touched? Just by asking that, we begin the journey of healing. Only by understanding our pain can we stop being ruled by it. Once someone asked the Buddha, "Blessed One, how can we avoid harsh words?" He smiled and replied, "If you wish to avoid harsh words, you must go to heaven, for only there no one speaks ill. But if you live among people, learn to let words pass without disturbing your heart." That teaching is a great lesson for us all. No one can escape the winds of life. We can only learn to walk within them. Therefore, instead of wishing for others' silence, wish for peace in your own heart. When the heart is calm, harsh words become light, slander fades away. A single word can hurt another, but it can also be an opportunity for us to train the steadiness of our mind. Each time we remain calm, we conquer another piece of our ego. The experienced know that silence is not avoidance, but deep understanding. They understand that arguing does not reveal truth, only clouds the mind. They see that others' words reflect their own hearts, not our true worth. They realize that peace is not found in being right, but in no longer needing to be right. Sometimes in an argument, if just one person stops, it is enough to preserve blessings for both. Others may think we are weak, but it is the strength of letting go. Letting go is not losing. It is refusing to be dragged into the mud. When someone throws mud, if we bend down to pick it up, both become dirty. But if we stand still, the mud falls to the ground and we remain clean. The wise understand that what they protect is not reputation, but purity of heart. A pure heart makes life shine. A peaceful heart makes the world kind. There is a small practice you can try. Whenever you hear something hurtful, don't respond right away. Breathe in deeply, exhale slowly, and silently say within, "They are suffering, that's why they speak so." When we see another's pain, our anger naturally dissolves. We no longer see them as an enemy, but as someone lost. And when our heart is full of understanding and compassion, no matter how harsh the words, they cannot hurt us. From today, practice being like the still lake, not the wave. Waves are easily stirred by wind, but the lake always reflects the sky. When our heart is still, every slander becomes a lesson showing us who we are. If someone speaks ill of you, smile. If someone criticizes you, silently thank them, for they are showing you where your heart is not yet strong. When the mind is peaceful enough, criticism becomes teaching. When wisdom is bright enough, pain becomes a teacher. Tonight, before you sleep, sit quietly and ask yourself, how many words in my life have I kept in my heart, making me weary? Then exhale, imagining each of those words falling like dry leaves drifting away with the wind. Let your heart return to its original state, light, calm, and pure. Because the wind cannot move the mountain, just as others' words cannot harm a peaceful mind. In the next part, we will talk about the art of the pause, the power in silence, to understand why sometimes a single breath, a timely pause, can change an entire life. There are moments in life when simply knowing how to pause at the right time allows all suffering to dissolve like clouds. The pause, though it seems small, is the gateway to wisdom. One who knows how to pause is not driven by emotion, not allowing words or actions to create more karma. The Buddha taught, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space lies our freedom, and in that freedom lies our path to peace. We often live so hurriedly that we forget this space. Some people, upon hearing something unpleasant, respond immediately, only to regret the words later. Some, faced with adversity, act on impulse and damage their relationships, all because they didn't pause. The fewer pauses we take, the more we suffer. The more pauses we take, the wider and calmer our hearts become. Imagine you're driving on a winding road. If you speed without knowing when to brake, one sharp turn can cause an accident. Our mind is the same. Emotions are the vehicle. Words are the steering wheel. Without brakes, that is, without pauses, we easily hurt others and ourselves. A single angry word can destroy a relationship. A hasty act can ruin months of effort, yet one mindful breath can change everything. When angry, we forget to breathe, we forget ourselves. The breath is the anchor that keeps our mind from drifting in waves of emotion. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. That alone is already a return to oneself. In the scriptures, the Buddha taught, when anger arises, if you can breathe in and breathe out, the mind will clear like clouds dispersing and the sky becoming bright again. Anger is like fire. If we fan it, it blazes. If we pause, it fades. The pause is the moment we stop adding wind to the flame. A wise person is not one who never gets angry, but one who pauses before anger takes control. Pause to see the emotion arising. Pause to see whether the words about to be spoken need to be said. Pause to understand that sometimes silence is the most complete answer. Once a disciple asked the Buddha, "Blessed One, what should I do when I am angry?" The Buddha smiled and replied, "Be silent until you can speak with a heart free of anger." The answer was short but contained the key to a lifetime of peace. The wise do not argue, for they know that no words can change the heart of someone in anger. When emotion controls a person, they do not truly hear. No matter how right we are, our words will be misunderstood. Thus, pausing is not losing. It is waiting for wisdom to speak instead of emotion. The pause is also a time to listen to oneself. When we pause, we hear our heartbeat, our breath, the sensations rising and falling within. We begin to see clearly that we are hurt, afraid, longing to be understood. And only when we understand ourselves can we truly understand others. A Zen master once told his student, "Learn to pause before you speak." The student asked, "Master, how long should I pause?" The master smiled, "Just long enough to see what your heart is about to say." Truly, only a few seconds are needed, yet those few seconds can save us from an argument, from a hurtful word, from bad karma. Many suffer all their lives because they never learned to pause. They speak in anger, decide in fear, act in haste. Later, they realize that the consequences of one impulsive moment can last years. But those who know how to pause are different. They don't rush to reply or react. They let things settle before they speak or act. And so their words carry weight, their actions bring peace. Pausing is not standing still. It is conscious movement. When we pause, we are awake amid the flow of life. We see the causes of things no longer being swept away by outcomes. To pause is to see, not to avoid. In daily life, we can practice pausing anywhere, in an argument, while driving, when hearing harsh words, or even during a family meal. Just one mindful breath can prevent countless regrets. Imagine if everyone in a quarrel paused just 5 seconds before speaking. How many painful words would be spared from the world? There would be fewer sleepless nights caused by hurtful speech, fewer parents crying over words from their children, fewer friends lost to moments of anger. The enlightened do not compete, for they know that life does not need winners or losers, only those who are at peace. Each time we pause at the right moment, we conquer ourselves. Each time we refrain from speaking when the mind is restless, we build another layer of strength for the soul. Sometimes the greatest achievement is not what we gain, but what we do not lose, our peace of mind. The deeper one walks in the Dharma, the fewer things there are to debate, the fewer words to say, and the more that can only be felt through silence. Cultivate a small daily habit. Each morning before beginning the day, breathe deeply and say to yourself, "Today I will pause before I speak, before I anger, before I judge." And at night, before sleeping, ask yourself, "How many times did I pause today?" You will see, the more you pause, the calmer your heart becomes. The calmer your heart, the brighter your life. Pausing takes nothing away from you. It gives you freedom from your own reactions. One who knows how to pause knows how to live. Amid life's rush, knowing how to stop, to breathe, to smile, to refrain from saying hurtful words, that is wisdom. In the next part, we will talk about silence is not weakness, wisdom in stillness, to understand that sometimes silence is the most powerful voice of an awakened being. In modern life, where everyone wants to speak, where everyone wants to prove themselves right, silence has become rare and difficult to practice. People often think silence is weakness, avoidance, or surrender. But in Buddhism, silence is strength, the expression of wisdom and compassion. The Buddha taught, "If you cannot speak kind words, remain silent." The saying is simple, yet it is the foundation of right speech, one of the eightfold path leading to enlightenment. Keeping silence is not out of fear, but out of understanding that every word can become karma. Good if born from peace, harmful if born from anger. Someone once asked, "Why do the wise speak so little?" Because they know that words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back. If shot in anger, the arrow harms both others and oneself. The wise do not need to shoot arrows to prove their strength. They simply keep their hands steady to avoid creating more suffering. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, "The fool thinks he is wise because he talks much. The wise one who conquers himself in silence is the true victor." To defeat others is temporary, but to conquer oneself is lasting victory. When we overcome anger, impulsiveness, and the need to prove ourselves, we are planting seeds of merit. A short story tells of a monk who asked his master, "Master, I want to learn how to respond skillfully when others insult me." The master replied, "You don't need to respond, just smile." The monk asked again, "But isn't that enduring in silence?" The master smiled, "It's not endurance, it's understanding." That is the difference between the silence of weakness and the silence of wisdom. The weak are silent out of fear, out of avoidance. The wise are silent because they see that every exchange of words is useless when the mind is unsettled. When the other person is angry, even truthful words are misunderstood. Only by remaining silent can the fire die down and clarity return. Think about it. How many times in life have we regretted speaking too much? How many arguments could have been avoided if just one person had remained silent? A harsh word can wound a person for life, but one moment of timely silence can preserve love and harmony. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is fullness, full of awareness, full of compassion, full of mindfulness. In silence, we hear our breath, our heart, and the suffering of others. When we are silent, we listen more deeply and see more clearly. Someone once said, "When people begin to speak less, they start hearing the voice of the universe." Indeed, in silence, our mind becomes more refined, perceiving what noise once concealed. We see the pain behind someone's loud voice, the fear beneath their anger, and understand that harsh words are born from hearts not yet healed. With that understanding, resentment fades and compassion arises. The story of Nam, which we heard earlier, is an example. He was misunderstood and slandered, but chose silence. In the end, truth revealed itself, and he gained the trust of others. His silence was not fear, but understanding, knowing that truth needs no noise. Likewise, in life, we all face misunderstanding and criticism. The more we try to explain, the more tangled things become. But if we stay silent, act rightly, and keep a kind heart, life itself will speak for us. Time is the most faithful witness to integrity. The ancients said, "Words cost nothing, yet choose them carefully to please others." But practitioners of the Dharma go further, not only choosing their words, but choosing their mind before they speak. When the mind is unsettled, even sweet words can wound. When the mind is calm, even few words can radiate compassion. Silence is the medicine that heals relationships. In a family, if one person stays silent when anger arises, laughter will remain. At work, if one stays silent when misunderstood, trust endures. In society, if people speak fewer harsh words, the world will be lighter. The enlightened do not aim for endless silence, but learn to speak from silence, with mindfulness, with kindness, with understanding. Words born from stillness carry more power than 1,000 eloquent speeches, for then words are not sound, they are light. Once someone asked the Buddha, "Why do people still get angry when I speak the truth?" The Buddha replied, "Because you speak while your mind is not at peace. When your mind is not clear, even the truth becomes false." How profound! We often think right or wrong lies in content, but the Buddha revealed that the root lies in the state of mind. When the mind is calm, words are kind. When the mind is disturbed, even truth becomes a blade. In silence, we begin to understand the value of each word. We speak slower, less, but more fully. One who knows when to be silent is one who preserves blessings. Blessings do not come from great deeds, but from the smallest, knowing when to stop a word that may harm. As night falls and the world grows quiet, it is time to listen to our hearts. If today we have spoken too much or hurt someone with our words, just sit quietly, breathe deeply, and whisper, "I'm sorry. I will speak less and listen more." Each time we do so, our hearts are cleansed and become lighter. Remember, silence is not the end. It is the beginning of wisdom. When the mouth is still, the heart can listen. When the heart listens, wisdom arises. And when wisdom arises, peace is born. In the next part, we will explore when words become karma, the power and danger of speech karma, to understand why the Buddha reminded us, guard your mouth to keep your merit, guard your words to protect your mind. I am among the three karmas, body, speech, and mind. Speech karma brings the fastest results. A single word spoken in passing can plant seeds of pain in another's heart for years. Conversely, a compassionate word can dissolve hatred and save a despairing soul. That is why the Buddha taught, words are seeds. Speak only those that help others grow. In today's world, our words no longer stop at our mouths. They travel through phones, keyboards, and comments. A single line can spread far, touching people we've never met. Therefore, every word we write or speak carries energy, wholesome or unwholesome, depending on the heart that gives rise to it. Some think karma is created only by harming others, but in truth, karma begins with a single thought, then manifests through speech and action. A careless remark, a thoughtless joke, can sow suffering in the world. Some fall into despair because of one cruel comment. Others carry shame for a lifetime from words they heard as children. All are karmic seeds sown by the mouth of another. The Buddha taught, there are 4 kinds of speech to avoid: false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle speech. False speech destroys trust and distances us from truth. Divisive speech creates conflict and breaks relationships. Harsh speech wounds the hearts of others and poisons our own mind. Idle speech wastes our life in frivolity and brings no merit. Reflect for a moment, in a single day, how many of our words belong to these 4 kinds? How many times do we complain, criticize, or blame, unaware that each word is a seed falling into the soil of our own mind? A wise person is not one who speaks much, but one who knows what to say, when to say it, to whom, and for what purpose. To speak for helping, sharing, soothing, that is wholesome speech. To speak for proving, belittling, or hurting, that is karmic speech. There is a story of a woman who came to the Buddha and confessed, "Blessed One, I know I have spoken wrongly many times. I wish to repent." The Buddha told her to take a bag of cotton and scatter it in the wind. After she did so, he said, "Now go and gather all the fibers again." Shocked, she replied, "That's impossible. The wind has blown them everywhere." The Buddha smiled, "So too with your words. Once released, they cannot be taken back. Therefore, before speaking, ask yourself whether it is truly necessary." That story awakens us. Every time we speak in anger, we release cotton fibers into the wind, light and fleeting, yet carried far. We may forget, but others remember. The pain from words is unseen, but it leaves marks in the heart like carvings in stone. Those who understand the Dharma never take their words lightly. They speak little, yet each word carries wholesome energy. They know that guarding the mouth is guarding the mind, and guarding the mind is preserving merit. When we speak harshly, the mind is defiled. When we speak kindly, the mind is purified. And when the mind is pure, blessings naturally come. Verbal karma is even more dangerous than bodily karma, because bodily actions take time to form, while speech arises in an instant. A single sentence can connect or sever, heal or harm. Hence the old saying, disaster comes from the mouth and blessings too. Observe a peaceful person. They speak slowly, sparingly, and with gentle eyes. They know that words carry not only meaning, but energy. When spoken from a calm mind, words are a cool breeze. When spoken from an agitated mind, words are fire. The same sentence from different hearts leads to different outcomes. In modern life, we talk too much and understand too little. Some speak to fill silence, others to prove their existence. Yet the more we speak, the farther we drift from stillness. Sometimes simply listening more and speaking less makes the heart much lighter. The wise know that speaking at the right time, place, person, and with the right intention, that is right speech. And right speech is not merely beautiful words, but words born of understanding and love. Try this simple practice. Before saying anything, pause for one breath and ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Will it bring peace? If all three answers are yes, then speak. If even one is no, smile and stay silent. For silence in mindfulness is the speech of the wise. Someone once asked, how can I tell if I'm creating verbal karma? Look at how you feel afterward. If your heart feels light and peaceful, your words were wholesome. If it feels heavy or regretful, your words created karma. The heart is the mirror of speech. Sometimes no words are needed. A look, a smile, or quiet presence can speak more deeply. The enlightened need not speak much, for true compassion is not in words, but in the energy of the heart. Remember, verbal karma can burn blessings like fire burns fields, but it can also sow blessings like rain softening dry earth. A word spoken at the right time, in the right way, can make a despairing soul want to live again. Thus, before speaking, inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and let your heart illuminate your words. Tonight, before you sleep, reflect on your day. Were there words you spoke that caused someone sadness? Sentences that weighed on another's heart? If so, silently send them a thought of apology, and tomorrow choose words that make someone lighter, happier, more at peace. Every kind word is an offering to the Buddha, a step towards serenity. In the next part, we will listen to the story of Sister Huang, learning silence amid slander, to see that sometimes silence not only protects our own peace, but also preserves blessings for others. Sister Huang was a gentle woman, living in a small neighborhood on the edge of the city. She spent her life as a tailor, quiet, simple, uncompetitive. Yet one day, her peaceful life was shaken by words. It began when someone said she took deposits and delayed orders, causing customers to complain. At first, it was a small rumor, but as words spread, people added and twisted them until the story became distorted. Some even accused her of deceit and hypocrisy. The rumors spread faster than the wind. At first, Sister Huang was deeply hurt. Friends avoided her. Those once close turned distant. Some evenings, she sat alone, listening to the rain, her heart heavy. "I've done nothing wrong," she thought. "Why do they say such things?" Her husband urged, "You must speak out, defend yourself, show them the truth." But she shook her head. They don't want to listen. When hearts are closed, words only pass like the wind. She chose silence, no explanations, no arguments. She continued working, delivering her orders, greeting everyone with her usual gentle smile. Many called her foolish, but she believed that if she was not wrong, time would speak for her. Later, one of her delayed customers returned, explaining that her sewing machine had broken and she had worked late into the night to finish on time. The customer, moved by her sincerity, told others. The truth spread, and the old rumors faded away. People realized that the woman they had doubted had never changed. She had remained kind, diligent, and calm. One afternoon, the neighbor who had spoken ill of her came by with a basket of ripe mangoes. Embarrassed, she said, "I'm sorry, I misunderstood you." Sister Huang smiled gently. "It's all right. We all mishear sometimes." Then she cut the mangoes and invited her neighbor to eat with her. No anger, no resentment, only a soft smile like the evening breeze. The story of Sister Huang reminds us of the Buddha's teaching. Words are like the wind. The wise are like mountains. When the wind blows over the mountain, it only moves the clouds. It cannot move the mountain. In life, we cannot avoid gossip and slander. No matter how well we live, there will always be people who misunderstand, dislike, or try to bring us down. But our reaction defines who we are. The weak respond with anger. The strong respond with reasoning. The wise respond with silence. Sister Huang's silence was not weakness, but faith in the law of cause and effect. She understood that every word carries consequences, and if she let anger rule her, she too would create karma. Her silence protected her heart from defilement. When misunderstood, the natural urge is to explain, to seek vindication. Yet the more we try to prove ourselves, the more closed others' hearts become. But in silence, time slowly reveals the truth. It may take days, months, even years, but truth always has its own light. In her silence, Sister Huang kept her inner freedom. She did not let anger cloud her mind or others' words disturb her peace. Thus, when the truth was revealed, she could still smile gently, holding no resentment. Those who understand the Dharma know that gossip and criticism are life's lessons. If we use them to reflect on ourselves, we grow. If we use them to blame others, we shrink. Some winds come only to teach us how to stand firm. Some harsh words arrive only to teach us how to let go. If today you are misunderstood, remember Sister Huang, don't rush to defend or blame. Do what is right. Live kindly. Keep your heart pure. A truly strong person does not need praise to stand, nor do they fall because of criticism. The Buddha taught, "Those who speak ill of others are like people throwing mud into the wind. It only comes back to soil them." When you hear someone speak ill of you, just smile. Their words do not make you lesser. They only reveal their own mind. If you react, you only muddy your own heart. Those who follow the Dharma choose stillness amid noise. They don't try to silence the world. They learn not to let the noise enter within. When the heart is unmoved, gossip is like rain on a lotus leaf, falling, sliding away, leaving no trace. One day, when you have enough peace, you will even thank those who spoke ill of you. Because of them, you learned patience, tolerance, and wisdom. Because of them, you discovered that silence is not submission, but freedom from the cycle of anger and resentment. Tonight, if you've been hurt by gossip, take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Inhale knowing you are still whole. Exhale knowing that all words are but the wind. Then silently say in your heart, "I choose silence, not because I am weak, but because I want peace." One day, those who understand will understand, those who love will love, and those who don't will simply quiet down. As for you, just keep a kind heart. That alone is enough. In the next part, we will explore when silence becomes the strongest answer. To understand that sometimes, without a single word, our stillness speaks the wisdom of the ages. There are moments when saying nothing is the most lucid response. In life, not everything requires explanation, and not everyone deserves our words. When a person's heart is closed, even the truest words become like wind against stone. But in silence, our calm presence becomes a louder answer than 1,000 arguments. The Buddha once taught, when someone insults you and you remain unmoved, that is victory. A victory without a loser, without applause, but the greatest of all victories, victory over oneself. For in the moment we remain silent, we do not let the fire of anger consume our peace. We all have lived through moments like these, when someone misunderstood, judged, or insulted us. At first, we want to react, to justify, to show that we are right. Yet the more we speak, the more tangled it becomes. For those unwilling to understand never will. In that moment, silence is the voice of mindfulness. Silence does not mean surrender. It means choosing peace over the need to win. Winning an argument brings only temporary satisfaction. Keeping peace within brings lasting joy. The wise need not raise their voices. They know that fewer words carry greater power. When we are silent, others must face the echo of their own thoughts. Sometimes our silence makes them reflect more deeply than any rebuttal ever could. A Zen story tells of a man who came to a master, shouting and insulting him with harsh words. The master sat quietly, his gaze gentle. When the man finally tired, the master asked, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "To the giver." The master smiled. "Likewise, you have offered me your insults, but I do not accept them. They remain yours." The man was struck silent. He realized that his bitterness had not touched the master, but had only exhausted himself. The master, through serene silence, had dissolved all hostility. That is the power of silence, a power that needs no authority, no reasoning, only a heart steady as a mountain. One who can remain silent amidst chaos possesses true strength. Many think that staying silent invites disrespect, but the opposite is true. People may not say it, but they secretly respect those who stay calm. On the other hand, those who shout and react only reveal their weakness. The Buddha said, "The fool thinks that speaking much makes him wise, but the truly wise speak only when necessary and remain silent when they must." Silence is the mark of maturity, the freedom from needing to prove anything. We stay silent not because we have nothing to say, but because we understand that nothing said is greater than inner peace. In moments of insult or misunderstanding, instead of reacting, return to the breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly, feel the anger rising, then observe it with awareness. When you see your anger, it loses its power. When you recognize your urge to speak, wisdom shines upon your words. In that moment, silence is not repression, it is a conscious choice. A person may be strong in body, but only one who can remain silent is truly strong in spirit, for they can master themselves. The Buddha said, "Of 100 victories in battle, the greatest is victory over oneself." Every time we stay silent, we win over the anger that once sought to rise. Silence, too, is a medicine that heals relationships. Sometimes a single word of retaliation can push two people apart forever. But if even one person stays silent, the fire of anger dies out. For no one can argue with someone who is at peace. There is a saying, "No one can hurt us unless we allow them to." When we choose silence, we refuse to let others invade our minds. They may speak or act, but they cannot touch the peace within us. The ancients said, "When the water is clear, the moon appears." When our hearts are still, truth naturally reveals itself. No need to defend, no need to shout. Time is the fairest witness. Those who lie will eventually falter. Those who slander will eventually stop. Only truth and kindness remain. Silence also teaches us to listen. When we stop speaking, we hear more, the hearts of others and even the sighs of our own soul. And sometimes when we listen with compassion, misunderstandings dissolve without a single explanation. If one day you are judged by others, try saying nothing. Not to endure, but to stay clear-minded. Let their words fall like rain on a tiled roof. They may make sound, but they cannot damage the roof itself. Silence is the art of the mature. It does not come from fear, but from deep understanding that all things are impermanent. Harsh words may sadden us today, but tomorrow they fade. Inner peace once kept can illuminate a lifetime. Tonight, before sleep, take a few quiet minutes. Breathe in, know that you are alive. Breathe out, know that you need not fight for right or wrong with anyone. Close your eyes, release the noise of the world, and let your heart return to stillness. In that silence, you will realize peace is not something to find, but something to create within yourself. And in that moment, you will understand, sometimes saying nothing is saying everything. In the next part, we will go deeper into the power of speech, the power of gentle words. Guarding the mouth is guarding blessings. For not only silence, but also the words we choose to speak are the seeds of merit we plant each day. In life, wounds from blades may heal, but wounds from words can last a lifetime. Words seem light, yet they carry invisible power to lift someone up or to cast them into suffering. The Buddha taught, words can kill, but they can also give life. Use your mouth to sow blessings, not pain. Today, we speak endlessly, but rarely notice what we are saying, why we are saying it, or in what state of mind. Words born from anger are knives. Words born from greed are ropes that bind. But words born from compassion are lotuses blooming in the mud of life. The ancients said, guard your mouth to protect your body, guard your words to protect your blessings. A single harsh word can burn away years of accumulated merit, while one kind word can open a path to unexpected joy. There was once an old man in a village who spent his life doing good deeds, helping others, living simply, yet he was quick-tempered, often scolding his family with harsh words. One day he fell gravely ill. In his delirium, he saw himself standing before a radiant gate, thinking he was entering a blessed realm. But from within came a voice, "You have merit, but your tongue has burned it away." He awoke in tears. From that day, he practiced speaking less, softer, and more kindly. Within a year, his face changed, serene, gentle, peaceful. People said, he has changed his nature. But in truth, he had only changed his speech. The Buddha taught right speech, to speak truthfully and kindly. Its 4 principles are: speak truthfully, without deceit or exaggeration. Speak harmoniously to bring people together, not divide. Speak gently so that others feel comforted and at ease. Speak meaningfully so that words bring benefit, not emptiness. Before saying anything, ask yourself, is this true? Is this beneficial? Does it bring peace? If the answer is no, smile instead of speaking, for mindful silence is the voice of the wise. A blessed person is one who keeps the virtue of speech. The saying goes, when words are kind and without contention, the household flourishes. In other words, when speech in a home is gentle and free of quarrel, blessings arise naturally. Many families break apart not for lack of money, but for lack of kind words. A single harsh sentence in anger can shatter years of love. Blessings are not far away. They live in how we speak each day. A sincere thank you, a timely apology, a wish for peace, all are seeds of merit that blossom in daily life. Those who know this speak slowly, mindfully, knowing every word is a seed planted in the field of the heart. Sometimes we think speaking the truth is enough, so we speak bluntly. But truth without kindness is still a weapon. The Buddha did not teach us to flatter falsely, but to speak the truth with compassion. A word of advice spoken skillfully can awaken someone, but spoken in judgment, it closes their heart. Truth only grows when sown in the soil of compassion. Some say, I'm hot-tempered, I say what I think. But speaking whatever comes to mind is a sign of an untamed mind. The wise do not say all that they think. They say only what is needed, what helps others, and what keeps their heart pure. A single kind word can change a life. Someone in despair may regain faith from a word of encouragement. Someone in anger may calm down after hearing a gentle tone. Gentle words are the simplest yet most powerful medicine. Once the Buddha told his disciples, "Learn to speak like the sound of a bell. When a bell rings, its tone is clear and soothing, bringing peace to the listener. In the same way, the words of the wise should be like the bell, calm, bright, and settling to the heart. Observe those who speak harshly. They often face trouble and inner unrest. But those who speak gently radiate peace. Others feel comfortable near them. That is merit manifesting as serenity. For the energy of speech spreads like fragrance. When the flower is fragrant, the bees will come." Someone once asked, "What's the use of keeping quiet when everyone else is talking and arguing?" The answer, keeping quiet is keeping your blessings. Blessings come not from fighting, but from stopping. When we stop, blessings are preserved. When we speak kindly, blessings multiply. Every time we restrain a harsh word, we keep a part of our own merit intact. A monk once said, "Before you speak, imagine your words as pebbles falling into water. They will create ripples that spread outward. The question is, what kind of energy will those ripples carry? Peace or pain? If we speak with compassion, the ripples flow gently, bringing calm wherever they reach. But if we speak with anger, the ripples shatter, muddying the lake of our own heart. Tonight, before you sleep, listen again to the words you spoke today. Were there any that made someone sad? Any spoken when your heart was not yet calm? If so, smile softly and whisper in your mind, 'I repent. I will speak more gently, more kindly.' Each night of repentance like this makes the heart clearer, the speech softer, and the blessings greater. The Buddha taught, 'One who knows how to speak kindly, even before doing good deeds, has already planted merit. For kind speech calms the mind. A calm mind leads to right action, and right action brings blessings. It all begins with the mouth, with the word, with the sound we choose to send into the world.' Remember, gentle words are bridges connecting people. Harsh words are knives that cut all wholesome ties. To choose kind speech is to preserve connections, love, blessings, and the purity of one's own heart." In the next part, we will move to another story, the story of Madame Tu, when words become karma, to see clearly how a single moment of anger, a single unrestrained word, can change the course of an entire life. Madame Tu lived in a quiet southern village. All her life she worked hard in the fields, raised her children, and rarely thought about competing with anyone. But there was one thing she hadn't yet learned: to guard her speech when angry. She was hot-tempered and blunt, speaking whatever came to mind. She often said, "I'm honest. I don't know how to pretend." Yet sometimes that honesty became a blade that wounded others. Her husband was gentle and quiet. Whenever something happened in the house, he would simply lower his head and walk outside. But she, whenever angry, would speak endlessly to vent it all out. Sometimes her words made her children cry. Sometimes they drove neighbors away, and she never understood why. One day, in a fit of anger, she scolded her son for breaking a cherished ceramic vase. She said harshly, "Useless child, you'll never accomplish anything in life." The boy stayed silent, but the sadness in his eyes pierced her heart. Though she later apologized and comforted him, those words were etched deep within him. Years later, as an adult, he said quietly, "I can never forget the day you called me useless." Madame Tu was stunned. She had never imagined that one sentence, spoken in anger, could leave a wound that would never heal. From that day on, she began to practice silence, but habits are hard to change. At times, she still slipped, still spoke words that hurt. Then one day she fell gravely ill and had to stay in bed. Family and friends came to visit, but few stayed long. They still cared for her, but her sharp tongue made them uneasy. Lying there, she finally realized the mouth can drive people away, even when their hearts still care. One morning, hearing the sound of chanting from a nearby temple, she wept. She remembered the Buddha's teaching. One who does not guard their speech is like a person carrying a torch against the wind. The flame burns no one else but themselves. In that moment, her heart became clear. All her suffering had been the fruit of careless words. From that day forward, she spoke less. Whenever anger arose, she took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and chanted, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Gradually, she changed. Her voice grew softer, her eyes kinder, her face more peaceful. Her children came closer again, and warmth returned to the home. One day, a neighbor came to her in tears. I'm miserable, Madam Tu. People say I'm harsh. No one wants to be near me. Madam Tu smiled gently. I was once like you. Back then, I thought speaking strongly meant winning. Later, I learned to win with words is to lose with blessings. Her neighbor fell silent, thoughtful. Indeed, winning with words only conquers the outside. Losing with silence conquers the inside. That inner victory is victory over the self, over pride, anger, and the need to be right. One day, her son asked, Mother, why do you speak so little now? She smiled, because I want to leave space in my heart for peace. That simple answer held a lifetime of insight. She had realized that words are not just sounds, they are energy. Every kind word is incense offered to the Buddha. Every harsh word is a spark burning one's own merit. She often told her children and grandchildren, I used to think merit came from doing many good deeds, but true merit comes from speaking less. When you give with the right hand but wound with your mouth, the left hand takes it away. Hearing her, the whole family began speaking more softly. The home grew calmer, warmer. When sadness arose, instead of arguing, they shared tea, sat in silence, and then spoke gently. That silence was no longer suppression. It was understanding. People often think blessings are wealth, houses, or status. But the greatest blessing is a peaceful heart. And to keep the heart peaceful, we must first guard our words. For words are wind, and the heart is a lamp. Speak carelessly, and the wind blows out the flame. Speak gently, and the wind makes the flame glow brighter. The Buddha taught, verbal karma is the heaviest, for it arises the fastest. The body must prepare to act, but the mouth needs only a thought. In a single instant, words are released, and their energy will return to us, sooner or later. Someone once asked, how can we avoid verbal karma? The Buddha replied, speak little, speak truthfully, speak with compassion. Each time before speaking, pause and observe your mind. If it burns with anger or pride, remain silent. If it rests in peace and love, then speak. Words from a peaceful heart are wholesome. Words from a restless heart become karma. After recovering, Madam Tu began visiting the temple regularly. Each time she chanted, she smiled softly. She said, before I chanted with my mouth, now I chant with my heart. Once someone praised her. You've become a different person. She replied, not different. I just learned to stay silent when my mouth wants to speak, and to speak only when my heart is calm. That simple yet profound statement is a reminder for all of us. Everyone has, at some point, spoken wrongly or harshly, but what matters is whether we recognize it, learn from it, and change. For every time we hold back a harsh word, we preserve our blessings, and every time we speak a kind word, we light another candle in the temple of our hearts. Tonight, as you sit quietly, remember the story of Madam Tu. Reflect for a moment. Today, did any of your words hurt someone? Did any sentence make another heart feel heavy? If so, simply whisper within, "I repent. I will speak with compassion." Then smile gently and let your heart grow light. For the wise do not argue, and those who understand the Dharma do not compete. They know that a harsh word can darken a lifetime, while a kind word can illuminate an entire existence. In the next part, we will delve into awakening. Guarding the mouth is guarding the mind. Guarding the mind is guarding blessings. To understand the deep connection between speech, intention, and merit in every breath of life, the ancients said, "Guard your mouth as you would guard gold." But in the Buddha's teaching, it goes even deeper. To guard your speech is to guard your mind, and to guard your mind is to protect your blessings. For the mouth speaks from the heart. When the heart is pure, words are clear. When the heart is clouded, words are dark. If the heart is the root of a tree, then speech is its blossom. Fragrant flowers bloom from good roots, wilted ones from decayed roots. When we fail to guard our words, they become knives. But when we guard them, they become the fragrance of lotus flowers. Sometimes just by listening to a person speak, we can sense where their mind dwells, hot or cool, peaceful or restless, bright or dim. Thus, speech is the mirror of the heart. A story from the sutras tells, one disciple came to the Buddha and said, "World-honored one, why is it that I keep the precepts carefully and perform good deeds often, yet see no blessings?" The Buddha looked at him and asked, "When you do good, do you ever speak harshly to others?" The disciple bowed his head. "Yes, I often speak bluntly and correct others sharply." The Buddha smiled gently. "You are like a man filling a jar with water, but the jar has a crack at the mouth. No matter how much you pour in, the water seeps away. So it is with your blessings. You create them, but your words, let them leak out." The disciple awakened. From then on, he guarded his speech like a precious vessel. Each time he wanted to speak harshly, he paused, breathed in, and recited the Buddha's name. Strangely enough, within a few years, his life changed. Things flowed more smoothly, and his heart grew lighter. He realized that to guard the mouth is to guard merit, and merit is the foundation of peace. In life, we often let the mouth run ahead of the mind. When angry, the mouth speaks before thought. When prideful, the mouth reacts before wisdom can arise. Thus, much of our suffering does not come from others. It comes from our own words. The older and wiser we grow, the more we understand. To hold back one sentence is to gain a little more merit. To restrain one word is to lessen a little karma. Guarding the mouth is not fear. It is protecting the purity of the heart. When the mind is calm, speech is gentle. When the mind is agitated, even soft words sound sharp. Therefore, to control speech, we must first calm the mind. The Buddha said, "One whose mind is like a still lake. Their words are cool as summer breeze. Such a person may speak little, yet whoever listens feels peace. But one with a turbulent mind speaks like crashing waves, unsettling those who hear. Some lose all their blessings with a single word. Others create immeasurable blessings with one." Guarding the mouth is the art of cultivation, whether in the monastery or amidst daily life. For true practice is not just sitting in meditation or chanting sutras, but watching each breath, each word. There was once an elderly woman in the north who went to the temple daily and chanted diligently. Yet her neighbors avoided her, calling her difficult and critical. One day the abbot asked gently, "What do you pray for, grandmother?" She said, "For peace of body and mind." The abbot smiled. "How can the mind be peaceful when the mouth is restless? You chant with your lips but speak words of division. How can the Buddha hear you?" She was stunned. From that day, she began her practice anew, starting with her speech. Each morning after chanting, she sat quietly for 5 minutes and told herself, "Today I will speak softer than yesterday and less than yesterday." Miraculously, after a few months, her face brightened. Neighbors returned to visit. They said, "You've become so gentle, so easy to talk to." She smiled. "It's just that I stopped saying what didn't need to be said." That is the fruit of guarding speech, guarding mind, guarding merit. When words become light, the heart rests. When the heart rests, blessings arise naturally. The wise do not seek blessings afar. They know blessings lie in how they live, speak, and think each day. Someone once asked, "If I've already spoken wrongly, have I lost my blessings?" The Buddha replied, "If you have, repent." Repentance is wiping dust from a mirror. When a mirror gathers dust, you clean it, you don't throw it away. Just as spilled water can be refilled, merit is never gone forever, only lost when we refuse to stop. Therefore, if you've spoken words that caused pain today, don't rush to self-blame. Sincerely apologize, then promise yourself, "Next time I will speak from a peaceful heart." Every act of repentance cleanses karma and restores merit. To keep the mind peaceful amid life's storms is difficult, but it begins with keeping the mouth still. When we speak less, we have more time to listen, to others and to ourselves. Listening deeply brings understanding, and when we understand, compassion arises. And with compassion, we no longer wish to say words that wound. Notice this: when the heart burns, the breath is fast, and words rush out. When the heart is calm, the breath slows, and words soften. To keep the breath is to keep the mouth. To keep the mouth is to keep the mind. And to keep the mind is to keep the blessings. All spiritual practice, no matter how profound, ultimately returns to this: coming home to the heart. The ancients said, "A skillful word is worth more than 10 feasts." Skillful does not mean sweet, but born from understanding and love. When our hearts are kind, our words naturally follow. Such words need no defense, yet they move others deeply, like cool water flowing through a desert. One truth to remember: when our hearts are pure, the universe listens. Prayers, blessings, and mindful words all carry immense power, for words are energy, and that energy brings corresponding results. When we speak with kindness, we send waves of goodness into the world. When we speak with anger, we plant seeds of suffering in ourselves. Tonight, before you sleep, try a simple meditation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, breathe in and say silently, "I guard my mind." Breathe out and say, "I guard my blessings." Do this 3 times, then smile. When the heart remembers, speech becomes gentle, and blessings flow naturally. The wise do not argue. Those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that guarding the mouth is guarding the heart. When the heart is pure, blessings overflow. When blessings overflow, peace naturally comes. In the next part, we will begin a new chapter, the story of Mr. Saw, when change begins with a single breath, to see how just one moment of pause, one mindful breath can transform an entire life. Mr. Sao was a true son of the Mekong Delta, sturdy in build, loud in voice, and as straightforward as the How River's current. All his life he was used to being in charge, giving orders, so everyone in the house feared him. He loved his wife and children, but his love, untempered by mindfulness, carried more weight than warmth, hiding anger behind the guise of teaching. Whenever things didn't go his way, he would explode, shouting until the whole house fell silent. His wife endured in tears. His children grew distant, afraid to speak to their father. He never realized that his own voice was pushing those he loved away. One afternoon, after another outburst, he saw his young son hiding in a corner, hands over his ears, tears streaming down his face. The boy's frightened eyes looked as if he had seen a wild beast. Something pierced Mr. Sao's heart. That night, for the first time, he could not sleep. He thought of all the words he had said, the careless anger he had poured out. He realized that what he called a father's authority was nothing but his ego's need to control, to prove itself. The next morning, Mr. Sao went to the nearby temple. The abbot, an old acquaintance, listened as he asked, "Master, why do I get angrier as I grow older?" The monk smiled kindly, "Because you forget to breathe." "Forget to breathe? But everyone breathes," he said in surprise. The monk replied softly, "Yes, everyone breathes to live, but few breathe to awaken. When you are angry, your breath quickens. The fire of rage consumes your mind. But if you pause, take one deep breath and see that anger clearly, you'll realize it's only smoke. And without fanning it, smoke fades on its own." Mr. Sao felt as if a veil had been lifted. At home, he tried it. Each time he felt anger rising, he stopped, breathed deeply, exhaled slowly, and placed his hand on his chest. At first, it was difficult. The fire inside him surged like a volcano. But after a few breaths, his heartbeat slowed, his mind cleared, and his voice softened. Once, when his son spilled a glass of water on the table, he almost shouted, but remembered the monk's words. He stopped, breathed, and said gently, "Be careful next time, okay?" His son stared in disbelief. The house fell completely silent. No one had ever heard him speak so softly. Just one mindful breath changed the whole atmosphere. From then on, he practiced the cultivation of breath. When tired, he paused to breathe deeply. When someone said something unpleasant, he smiled and exhaled. Gradually, his temper subsided, his expression softened, his voice warmed, and his home grew happier. One day, his wife said, "You used to speak fire, now you speak cool breeze." He laughed. "It's all thanks to breathing. I used to breathe without knowing I was breathing. My mouth spoke faster than my heart." People said he had changed. He replied, "I didn't change my nature, only my breath." And indeed, when the breath changes, the mind changes. When the mind changes, speech changes. When speech changes, life changes. The Buddha taught, mindful breathing is the bridge between body and mind. When we breathe mindfully, we remain aware amid the waves of emotion. Breathing in, we know we are breathing in. Breathing out, we know we are breathing out. It sounds simple, but to do it, that is deep practice. The breath is a priceless gift life gives us every moment, yet we so often forget. We live without truly living, our minds chasing the past or future. Only when we pause and return to the breath do we truly live in the present. And only in the present can we find peace. Later, Mr. Sao often sat on his porch, drinking tea, watching clouds drift by. When asked, he said, "Now I feel life is as light as breath. Breathing in, I know I'm alive. Breathing out, I know I hold no anger." Once, a neighbor complained, "Why don't you get angry anymore? People talk about you and you just smile." He replied, "I used to live by the mouth. Now I live by the breath." The neighbor fell silent for a long while. Anger is fire. Breath is water. When we breathe consciously, we are cooling that fire. One who knows how to breathe at the right time can stop karma before it arises. Many practice all their lives yet still suffer because they forget this simple truth. Those who understand the Dharma do not try to suppress anger but to transform it through the breath. When anger appears, they neither fear nor avoid it. They observe it, breathe with it, until it dissolves like mist in sunlight. Mr. Sao said, "I used to think cultivation meant staying in temples, chanting all day. Now I see that true practice is in each breath, in every word. When I keep even one mindful breath, I keep peace for an entire day." His story teaches us, transformation does not require grand acts. Just one right breath. A single breath can stop an argument, save a relationship, preserve a home. And each time we keep that breath, we keep a fragment of merit. Tonight, try it for yourself. Sit quietly, place your hand on your chest, inhale deeply, feel your heart beating, exhale slowly, smile gently. That's enough. You've already begun to return to yourself. When you truly breathe, you cannot be angry, resentful, or argumentative. Mindful breathing is the shortest path to peace. The wise do not argue, and those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that one peaceful breath is worth more than 10,000 words of justification. In the next part, we will explore from verbal karma to right speech, how to transform words into merit, to understand how each true, gentle, and mindful word can become a light guiding ourselves and others. There is one thing we all know but rarely remember. Every word we speak carries energy. Words are seeds. Wherever they fall, they take root. Some words bloom into joy, others dry the soil of the heart. Those without mindfulness treat speech as fleeting, but those who understand the Dharma know. Verbal karma is the swiftest, and its fruits appear the fastest. The Buddha taught, of the three karmas, body, speech, and mind, speech is the hardest to control. The body needs time to act, the mind needs thought to form intention, but words can escape in an instant, in a flash of anger. One wrong word can destroy a relationship. One poisonous word can create a lifetime of karma. Thus, in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Eightfold Way to Enlightenment, right speech holds one of the highest places. Right speech means speaking truthfully, gently, beneficially, and at the right time. Even if we can practice half of these, our lives will already begin to change. Today, people live amid a storm of words. Social media, news, comments, judgments. Words flow faster than breath. We easily let slip a phrase just to vent, to gain attention, to prove we're right. But how many realize that each word is an arrow? Once released, it never returns. Some people say, "I'm just speaking the truth. What's there to fear?" But truth is not the same as right speech. Truth spoken without compassion can become a sharp blade. A truthful word spoken without understanding can wound more deeply than a lie. The wise do not use words to win arguments, but to sow understanding. During a Dharma talk, someone asked the Buddha, "How can I know whether my words are right speech?" The Buddha replied, "Before speaking, ask yourself 4 things. Is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it necessary? Is it gentle? If all 4 are present, your speech is right speech. If even one is missing, remain silent. Silence is not fear. It is respect for the energy of words. One wrong word can wound, but one right word can save a life. There are people who, with just one word of encouragement, help another rise above despair. And there are those who, with one word of comfort, bring a heart back to life. The story of Mr. Sao we just heard is a perfect example. Just one mindful breath changed the way he spoke. And through that, his entire life. When he learned to speak gently, his home found peace. When he learned to speak less, his mind grew clear. That is the transformation of verbal karma through right speech. Verbal karma does not only lie in harsh words, it also hides in excess words. Some people talk endlessly, saying nothing of meaning. Each word drains energy from the heart. Speaking less and listening more naturally quiets the mind. In that stillness, wisdom arises. The Buddha taught, "The wise weigh words like gold. The foolish scatter them like the wind." The wise speak just enough, at the right time to the right person. They do not speak to win or to prove, but to help. Every word they utter falls like cool water upon dry soil, soothing the listener and bringing peace to the speaker. A Zen master once said, "It took me 20 years to learn to speak and 40 years to learn to be silent." For to speak rightly is already difficult, but to know when to remain silent is even harder. In silence, we hear our own hearts, and when we understand our hearts, our words carry the weight of compassion. Once, a woman came to her teacher crying, "I try to speak well, to speak correctly, yet people still misunderstand me." The master smiled, "Because you speak from the wish to prove, not from the wish to understand." To speak in order to prove is to speak from ego. To speak in order to understand is to speak from compassion. The ego seeks to win. Compassion seeks to heal. Sometimes all it takes is to shift our intention before speaking, and the energy of our words transforms completely. Practice pausing, take a breath, and ask yourself, will this word bring peace to anyone? If the answer is no, smile and stay silent. That is right speech. When we practice speaking gently, kindly, and purposefully, merit begins to arise. The listener feels joy, the speaker feels peace, and the universe responds in kind. Each morning we can silently vow, "Today I will speak words of kindness." That single thought lightens the heart. Someone once asked, "How can we speak rightly in a world full of slander and noise?" The Buddha said, "Do not speak to please, speak to bring understanding." Right speech is not always sweet, but it always carries the seed of love. Sometimes a truthful word may hurt, yet if born from purity, it plants wholesome karma. Sometimes right speech means the silence that comes at the right time. Sometimes it's a single simple word filled with compassion. Those who understand the Dharma know that every word has consequences and every silence has value. They choose to speak little to guard the mind, to be silent often to nurture merit. Tonight, try practicing that. Before you speak, pause for one breath. Inhale, feel yourself alive. Exhale, feel your heart at peace. Then let your words flow out as lightly as wind, as softly as water. When speech arises from mindfulness, the listener finds peace and your own heart expands. The wise do not argue. Those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that words are not for winning, but for healing. When speech becomes a bridge of love, life naturally grows lighter. In the next part, we will go deeper into words and energy when sound touches the heart to see why our speech not only echoes outward but also returns within, to the very heart where all peace begins and ends. Have you ever noticed that when someone speaks gently, even just a greeting, your heart softens? But when someone speaks harshly, even without insult, you feel uneasy? This is not coincidence. Words carry energy, and that energy can heal or harm. The Buddha taught, all the worlds are shaped by mind, and the mind reveals itself through speech. When we speak, the energy of our heart becomes sound. If the heart is peaceful, words are peaceful. If the heart is agitated, words are agitated. Thus, by listening to someone's speech, we can sense the energy of their heart. Modern science confirms this. When we speak kindly, our heartbeat and breath stabilize, and the body releases healing hormones. But when we speak with anger, heart rate rises, blood pressure spikes, and negative energy radiates through our body and even the space around us. Sound has frequency, and the mind has vibration. When we speak, these two blend to form the energy of speech. One sutra tells, one day the Buddha and his disciples walked through a forest. The Buddha paused, touched the trunk of an ancient tree, and smiled. He said, "This tree once sheltered a kind man who meditated here. His gentle words seeped into the wind, the earth, and this tree. That energy remains. Since then, people called it the Blessed Forest. Anyone entering felt lighter, freer from sorrow. Speech works the same way. A kind speaker creates a kind space. A harsh speaker makes the air heavy. A home filled with gentle words is always peaceful. A house full of quarrels feels cold, no matter how grand. A monk once said that when he chants sutras, it's not for the Buddha to hear, but for his own heart to listen to the sound of peace. When the chanting merges with breath, each word becomes a wave of calm energy. Even those who don't understand the meaning feel serene. Sound does not only touch the ear, it touches the heart. Every word we speak either nourishes or harms us. When we speak kind words, their energy returns to nurture body and mind. When we speak harshly, that energy circles back and unsettles our hearts. Someone once asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, if someone insults me, should I respond?" The Buddha replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man answered, "To the giver." The Buddha smiled, "So it is. When others speak ill of you and you do not receive it, their energy returns to them. But if you accept it with anger, you are keeping poison in your own heart." Words, therefore, are not merely communication. They are the exchange of energy between two hearts. If we wish for peace, we must speak peace. If we wish for love, we must speak with love. Whatever energy we send into the world, the universe will return that same energy to us. In life, we sometimes meet someone who speaks only a few words, yet everyone feels warmth toward them. It is not because they are eloquent, but because behind their words lies sincerity. They do not speak to please others, but from the truth of their heart. It is this truth that touches people deeply. Those who understand the Dharma do not just refine their speech, they refine their hearts before they speak. They know that if the heart holds anger, words become fire. If the heart holds compassion, words become fragrance. So they do not rush to speak when their minds are disturbed. They breathe first, smile, listen inwardly, then speak. Such words carry the power to heal. Once, a woman came to the temple crying because her husband often scolded her. "I talk back," she said, "but the more I speak, the angrier he gets." The monk asked, "When he speaks, do you listen with your ears or with your anger?" She hesitated. "Probably with my anger, master." The monk smiled. "Then his words do not just reach your ears. They touch the fire inside you. If you listen with a cool heart, his fire will have no fuel to burn." Those who understand the Dharma know that sound is only the vehicle. The emotion behind the words is the source. When you speak, do not focus only on language. Focus on the energy beneath it. Whether an apology, advice, or refusal, if it arises from a peaceful heart, it becomes right speech. Thus, to train your speech is not to learn to speak beautifully, but to purify the heart. When the heart is kind, the voice is kind. When the heart is calm, the tone is warm. People remember not the pitch of your voice, but the peace it brings them. Sometimes a single gentle word or soft smile can dissolve great anger. Many people go through life unaware of the power of their speech, unintentionally sowing suffering. But once we awaken, we can use words to heal instead of harm. Tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and reflect on the words you have spoken today. Were there words that brought joy? Were there words that caused pain? Then whisper, "Tomorrow I will speak less, softer, and kinder." When we transform our words, we transform our energy. For words never disappear after being spoken. They linger in the heart, in the air, in karma. But precisely because of this, we can use kind words to dissolve harsh ones. Use good energy to neutralize bad energy. Every kind word is a small ray of light, and together, these rays can illuminate an entire life. The wise do not argue, and those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that the most powerful sound comes from silence within. It is not loud, yet it reaches the deepest corners of the human heart. In the next part, we will explore practicing speaking less, listening more, learning to listen with the heart, to understand that sometimes silence and deep listening are not signs of restraint, but of profound love. Everyone wants to be heard, but how many truly listen? We often listen to reply, to react, to find a chance to speak, seldom to understand. Thus, the more we talk, the farther apart we drift. And the farther apart we drift, the lonelier we feel amid the crowd. The Buddha taught, to know how to listen is to walk halfway toward wisdom. Listening is not the work of the ears, but of the heart. When we listen with a peaceful mind, we can feel the pain, fear, and loneliness in others. Only then will our words carry real meaning. Once a woman complained to the Buddha, "World-honored one, I suffer because my husband never understands me, no matter how much I talk." "Huh?" the Buddha asked. "Do you listen when your husband speaks?" She replied, "Of course, I listen to see where he is wrong." The Buddha smiled. "Then you are not listening, you are waiting to react. When the heart seeks to win, the ears close. Only when the heart seeks to understand do the ears open." That simple teaching holds profound wisdom. Listening is not for responding, but for understanding. When we listen with compassion, the other person feels safe, and only then can they open their heart. A closed heart can only be opened by one that truly listens. The one who listens deeply knows how to be silent inside. To listen, we must set aside the ego, the part that wants to be right, to prove, to dominate. In that moment, we no longer listen with thoughts, but with presence. And that presence is the greatest gift we can offer. Once, a disciple asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, how can I learn to speak better?" The Buddha replied, "Learn to listen." The disciple asked, "But what does listening have to do with speaking?" The Buddha smiled. "Listening is the mother of speaking. Whoever listens deeply will speak rightly." Listening more does not mean hearing everything in the world, but hearing mindfully with awareness. When someone is sad, do not rush to advise. When someone is angry, do not rush to teach. Let them speak. Let them release their suffering. Often saying nothing at all helps them feel half as burdened. The Dhammapada says, "As the still lake reflects the moon, the quiet heart reflects the suffering of others." When we listen with stillness, we are not swept away by stories. We see the root, not just the words, but the pain beneath them. A mother can heal her child simply by sitting quietly, listening without judgment or interruption. A friend can help another through hardship simply with warm silence. A teacher can guide a student more deeply with one compassionate look than with 1,000 words. Such is the power of listening. Those who speak much stir their own minds. Those who listen much find their minds at rest. When the mind rests, wisdom arises. Thus, the wise choose to speak little and listen deeply, not because they lack words, but because they know that speaking less nourishes wisdom, and listening more nourishes the heart. Speaking less does not mean being mute. It means speaking only what is needed and truly helpful. Like a gardener pruning withered leaves to help the tree flourish, those who cultivate mindfulness trim away needless words to preserve their energy. Reflect on your day. How many unnecessary words did you speak? How many times did you interrupt someone before they finished? How many times did you listen to react rather than to understand? Each time you do, you lose a little peace because the mind has already wandered from the present moment. A true practitioner does not seek to win in words, but to understand in silence. They realize that silence itself is a form of listening to one's own heart. Only when we are still can we hear the breath, the heartbeat, the sound of life, and even the voice of the Buddha within. Someone once asked, "How can I listen with my heart?" The answer is, through full presence. When the other person speaks, do not think about replying. Do not judge right or wrong. Just look at them and listen with your whole attention. When we are truly present, our mind becomes a clear mirror, and the other person can see their own reflection in it. When we speak less and listen more, our words gain weight. For words that arise from silence carry the energy of mindfulness. Those who speak little but from clarity, their words linger. Those who speak much from agitation, their words scatter like wind across a field. The Buddha taught, "One who listens, even in silence, plants seeds of merit." For listening with compassion is itself a wholesome act. When someone speaks and we listen with respect, they are healed, and we are nourished. Both find peace together. Tonight, as you sit quietly, listen to the sounds around you. The wind, the rain, your own breathing. Listen without judgment, without naming. Just listen. Soon, you will feel your heart soften and your mind brighten. When you can listen in this way, your speech will naturally become gentle, true, and kind. Listening and speaking are two rhythms of the same breath. When the breath is calm, both become mindful. When the breath is hurried, both become confused. Therefore, to listen deeply, breathe slowly. To speak rightly, pause for a moment. The wise do not argue. Those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that listening to understand is far more precious than speaking to win. A person who speaks well may earn admiration, but a person who listens deeply earns love. And where love arises, all winning and losing dissolve. In the next part, we enter a moving story. Sister Lan, compassionate silence in the family, to see how sometimes one person's calm can save an entire home. Sister Lan lived in a small town. Outwardly, her life seemed peaceful, yet within were silent storms. Her husband, Mr. Hoa, was diligent and kind, but quick-tempered. Whenever something displeased him, he raised his voice, complained, sometimes harshly. Lan, being sensitive, often responded with tears or quiet endurance. Day by day, the distance between them grew, not because love faded, but because words spoken in anger built invisible walls. Family dinners became heavy with tension. Sometimes even a simple matter, a cold meal, a clumsy remark, was enough to ignite conflict. One night, after a quarrel, Lan sat down after cleaning the dishes and wept. She felt exhausted, not from his words, but from her own helplessness. She asked herself, "What can I do to bring peace back to this home?" The next day, she went to the nearby temple. The abbot looked at her gently and asked, "My child, for whom do you suffer?" She answered, "I suffer because of my husband, his harsh words every day." The monk smiled. "You do not suffer because of your husband. You suffer because your heart is not yet calm enough to hear him." Then the monk told her a story. A man once insulted the Buddha. The Buddha remained silent. When the man left, the disciples asked, "Why did you not respond?" The Buddha said, "If someone offers me a gift and I do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" Lan sat quietly for a long time. The monk continued, "Harsh words are like gifts. If you do not receive them, they cannot harm you. But to not receive them, you must have compassion. Compassion is water. Anger is fire. Fire burns only when there is no water." From that day on, Lan began practicing compassionate silence. When her husband became angry, she no longer reacted. No tears, no arguments, no walking away. She stood still, breathing deeply and slowly, quietly, tidying up. At first, her silence irritated him more. He thought she was ignoring him. But gradually, his anger had nothing left to feed on, and it began to fade. One day he shouted, "Your silence, is that your way of looking down on me?" She smiled gently. "No, I'm listening to you with a calm heart." That simple breeze of a sentence startled him. After that, his tone softened. One evening after dinner, he sighed, I don't know why, but our home feels so peaceful lately. Lan smiled. Because you speak less, and I get angry less. They both laughed, a gentle, healing laugh. In truth, Lan was not enduring. She chose silence not to escape, but to transform. Her silence was the silence of understanding, still but not cold, calm but not weak. Within that silence were love, wisdom, and the wish to protect her home. She said, "It was hard at first. Each harsh word still stung. My mouth wanted to reply, but I breathed in, breathed out, and recited the Buddha's name in my heart. Each breath was like quenching a flame. Gradually, my heart grew clear. Without anger, I could hear his pain." She began to realize her husband was not cruel. He was simply burdened, tired, releasing his suffering through words. If she met anger with anger, the fire would spread. But if she met it with compassion, it would fade. One morning, Mr. Hoa awoke early and saw Lan chanting sutras. He sat silently, watching. Afterward, he said, "I'm sorry for the things I've said all these years." Lan looked at him, tears falling but smiling. She knew compassion had spoken and silence had healed. Those who understand the Dharma do not keep silent out of fear, but out of wisdom. They know that every reactionary word is a knife carving into another's heart, while silence in mindfulness is a cool blanket soothing a burning mind. When we are silent with compassion, we send healing energy to the other, even without words. The Buddha taught, hatred is never ended by hatred, only by love is hatred ended. Lan did not study lofty philosophy. She simply learned to fill each breath with compassion. Whenever her husband grew angry, she silently chanted, "Namo Amitabha Buddha," and wished, "May he find peace." That was enough to change the entire atmosphere of their home. One day, a friend visited and said in surprise, "You've changed. You used to be so fiery." Lan smiled. "I got tired of trying to win. Now I just want peace." Indeed, when we no longer need to win, we truly begin to win. Not over others, but over ourselves. Over the ego that always wants to be right, to be recognized. As long as that ego remains, peace will never live at home. Sister Lan came to understand that silence does not mean ignoring everything. When necessary, she still spoke, but with gentleness. She spoke only when her heart was calm and remained silent when it was not. That sense of timing gave her words weight. Her husband listened without reacting, for her words carried no fire. Her story teaches us that silence can become the language of compassion. It needs no words, yet everyone understands. When we are silent with loving kindness, the other person can feel it, and their own heart begins to settle. One evening, as the temple bell echoed in the distance, Lan softly told her son, "My dear, don't rush to reply when someone speaks harshly. Sometimes silence allows them to see their own faults." The boy nodded, his eyes gentle like his mother's. That night, Lan sat quietly by the window, listening to the wind passing through the areca trees, her heart as light as a cloud. She thought, so peace isn't somewhere far away. It's right here in my breath, in how I choose to respond. And dear friend, if one day you find tension filling your home, don't rush to change others. Begin with your own silence. Be silent not to suppress, but to love. To love the one who is angry and to love yourself who is hurting. When the heart softens, everything will settle naturally. The wise do not argue. Those who understand the Dharma do not compete, for they know that compassionate silence is the deepest voice of love. In the next part, we will explore when silence transforms anger, to see that stillness is not avoidance, but the art of transforming the energy of anger into wisdom and peace. Anger is a fire. It flares up quickly, burns away reason, dries up compassion, and, if left unseen, can destroy the most precious bonds in our lives. No one is free from anger. The difference is that ordinary people let anger control them, while those who understand the Dharma see it and embrace it with silence. The Buddha taught, "Anger is a fire that burns away merit." When we are angry, we lose energy, peace, and clarity. But more dangerously, when we are angry, we often speak, and it is those words, born of anger, that create the deepest karma. One sentence spoken in a single moment of rage can lead to a lifetime of regret. Think for a moment, how many times have we said something that hurt someone we love, only to feel remorse later? How many times have we wished we could turn back time just to remain silent? That is why silence in the midst of anger is the highest wisdom. It is not weakness, but the strength of one who can stop. Once, someone asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, what should I do when others make me angry?" The Buddha replied, "Be like a rock amid a storm. The wind may howl, but the rock remains unmoved. If you are silent, your anger will fade like passing wind." It sounds simple, yet to practice it is a great journey. For when anger arises, the mind wants to react. It rushes outward, wanting to speak, to argue, to prove itself right. The more we react, the stronger the flames grow. But when we stop, breathe, and stay silent, we pour water upon that very fire. A Zen master once said, "Each moment of anger is a chance to practice. Anger is a mirror reflecting our ego. We become angry when we feel hurt, insulted, or dismissed. Yet in truth, no one can offend us unless we cling to ourself. The one who does not hold tightly to the ego cannot be harmed by others' words." One day, a lay disciple came to his master and said, "I try to stay calm, but I still get angry. People insult me, and though I stay silent, I burn inside." The master asked, "Are you silent with your mouth or with your heart?" The man answered, "With my mouth." The master smiled. "Then you are suppressing, not silent. True silence is when the heart understands, not when the lips are closed." That teaching is profound. True silence is not speaking. It is no longer needing to speak. When we understand the nature of anger, there is nothing to suppress, because there is nothing left to say. Anger comes and goes like a cloud, unreal, impermanent. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful practice called mindful breathing when anger arises. Whenever you feel anger, instead of suppressing it, simply breathe in, know that you are angry. Breathe out, know that you are breathing out. Do not force it away. Just observe it with mindfulness. When seen clearly, anger weakens, for it can no longer hide in the dark. A monk once shared, "I used to get angry often, but one day, in the middle of anger, I tried not to speak, I just breathed. After 3 deep breaths, I heard my heartbeat and the fire in me shrank. I realized then, the person didn't make me suffer, my anger did." That story reminds us, silence is the key that opens the door of wisdom. When we are silent, we see deeper. When we speak, we see only the surface. Sometimes the person who angers us does not hate us. They are hurt, afraid, or lost. Our silence gives them space to calm. If we speak, 2 fires burn at once. Once a woman asked a Zen master, "What if someone keeps trying to make me angry?" The master replied, "Then do not carry gasoline with you." The answer sounds simple, yet it is profoundly true. Others may strike the match, but if there is no fuel within, the fire cannot burn. Silence in anger does not mean avoidance. It is an act of protection. When we are silent, we preserve our energy. When we are silent, we can hear peace calling. When we are silent, we are no longer swept away by others' emotions. A visitor once told a monk, "I can't stay silent. When I'm angry, I have to speak or I'll explode." The monk replied, "You speak to release, but does it relieve your pain?" The visitor lowered his head. "No, it makes me more tired." The monk nodded. Because you are pouring oil onto the fire. So when anger arises, practice 3 steps. 1. Stop. Do nothing. Say nothing. 2. Breathe deeply. Feel each breath entering and leaving, cooling the flame. 3. Smile softly, not to pretend, but to remind yourself, this anger is only a passing guest. Just those 3 steps can save countless relationships and save you from the karma of angry words. A person who understands the Dharma knows that the right silence is stronger than 1,000 justifications. When we don't speak, we create no new karma. When we don't speak, peaceful energy has a chance to return, and from that energy we can then speak kind words. Tonight, if you have been angry with someone, sit quietly for a while. Breathe in, knowing you are still alive. Breathe out, knowing anger is only a passing feeling. Then smile, for you are learning to master yourself. No one can make you suffer unless you allow it. The Buddha taught, when the mind is peaceful, the world is peaceful. When you can remain silent in anger, you have already conquered yourself. And that victory, though unseen, is enough to make your whole life lighter. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete, for they know that silence is the only response where anger cannot survive. In the next part, we will explore the art of maintaining peace in every conversation, to see that beyond silence, there are ways to speak without losing calm, to listen without being carried away, and to keep the heart bright amid all disagreements. It is strange that humans can conquer oceans, climb mountains, even travel through space, yet still struggle to keep calm in a simple conversation. A single disagreeable word, a slightly raised voice, or a glance lacking kindness is enough to stir our hearts. That is because we have not yet learned the art of keeping peace in dialogue. The Buddha once said, when the mouth speaks while the mind is not at peace, words become arrows. When the mouth speaks while the mind is calm, words become lotus flowers. Practitioners do not aim to speak beautifully, but to speak mindfully, for they know that to speak with awareness is to sow blessings. To speak in ignorance is to sow karma. In a conversation, 2 energies are always present, the energy of the speaker and the energy of the listener. When one side is heated, the other can easily be drawn in. But when one side stays calm, that energy spreads to the other. Therefore, to keep a conversation peaceful, first be the one who holds the light in the dark. A story tells of a young monk assigned to care for the garden behind the temple. One day, a visitor arrived and loudly complained that the monk lacked manners for not greeting him. The young monk listened quietly and gently said, "I'm sorry, I was chanting and didn't notice you. Thank you for reminding me." Hearing that, the man's anger dissolved. He said, "I thought you would argue, but your gentle words made me realize my own fault." Such is the power of calm energy. When we keep peace in our words, others also soften. Between 2 hearts, the stronger energy leads the conversation. If we maintain mindfulness, our energy becomes like cool water, naturally extinguishing the other's fire. Keeping peace in conversation does not mean yielding to everything. It is the art of knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to smile. Those who understand the Dharma know that not every word needs a response, and not every opinion needs to be proven. Some things are resolved by silence. Some moments are healed by a smile. To do this, we must first learn to listen mindfully. When someone speaks, take a deep breath and keep the mind free of judgment. Don't rush to label them as right or wrong. Just listen fully. When they finish, pause for a moment before replying. That pause is the breath where wisdom enters. If we respond immediately, we speak from reaction. If we pause, we speak from understanding. Practitioners should follow a simple rule. Before speaking, breathe. When we breathe, the mind returns. When the mind returns, speech becomes gentle. Some people speak little, yet their words bring peace to all who hear, because they speak with the energy of mindful breathing. A Zen master once said, "Those who haven't learned to keep peace in their words are like those walking barefoot on sharp stones. The faster they move, the more they hurt." Indeed, in conversation, if the mind is not calm, words become thorns. But when spoken gently, words become bridges that connect hearts. To practice the art of peace in dialogue, remember 3 things. First, listen without judgment. Don't listen to react. Listen to understand. Don't think who is right or wrong, but where is this person's pain? When you see their suffering, you naturally stop arguing. Second, speak with compassion. Speak as if each word will return to nourish your own heart. When you speak kindly, kind energy returns. When you speak harshly, harsh energy returns. The universe works like an echo. What you send out is what you receive. Third, pause when your heart begins to waver. Each time you feel your voice rising, stop. Take a deep breath. A small smile on your lips keeps the heart from falling. The one who can stop while angry is truly strong. Once, a disciple asked a Zen master, "If I'm speaking but the other refuses to listen, what should I do?" The master replied, "You may stop speaking but never stop loving." Such a precious teaching. To keep peace is not to stop talking, but to keep compassion even when others don't understand. The Buddha taught, "Amidst noise, if your heart is calm, that is meditation. In the middle of an argument, if you keep your breath, that is practice." Meditation is not only on the cushion, it's in every word, every gaze, every conversation. When we speak calmly and listen clearly, that is meditation in daily life. Keeping peace in dialogue is the art of mindful living. Every word is a mirror for the heart. When someone says something unpleasant, ask yourself, "Why is my heart disturbed?" When you see clearly, you step out of conflict. When you understand, you no longer need to win. When you love, you no longer need to be right. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete, for they know that conversation is not to decide who wins, but to understand and love more deeply. When you keep peace in every word, you not only bring calm to others, but also nurture wisdom and compassion within yourself. Tonight, if someone has hurt you with their words, light a small lamp, take a deep breath and silently say, "I choose peace over reaction." That sentence is like a prayer, bringing your heart back to its brightest place. Peace in speech is not distant. It begins right now, in every conversation, every breath, every moment you choose to listen instead of argue. In the next part, we will go deeper into a theme close to daily life. Guarding the mouth is guarding the home, the blessings within family, to understand that the peace of a home does not come from wealth, but from gentle words and hearts that know how to love one another. The ancients said, "When speech is harmonious and free from quarrel, the family flourishes." It means that when words in a household are soft and free of conflict, that home naturally gathers blessings. But if every day is filled with harsh words and arguments, then even with wealth and status, that family cannot truly be at peace. In modern life, people are busy and full of pressure. Often, after a long day, we carry the frustrations of the outside world back home, the very place that should be most peaceful. A single unrestrained word, a small reproach, can wound the hearts of loved ones for many days. The Buddha taught, "Better to cut the flesh with a sharp sword than to wound the heart with words. For the wound on the skin may heal, but the wound caused by words can last a lifetime." Once, a monk told a story about a family. The husband was hard-working and loving, but had a hot temper. The wife was skillful but easily offended. Whenever something small happened, they would argue. They loved each other but caused each other pain, simply because they couldn't control their speech. One day, after a quarrel, the husband left the house and was in an accident. He never returned. The wife, in deep regret, remembered her last words, "Go wherever you want, I don't need you anymore." Hearing this, the monk said, "A single word can make someone leave, but it can also make them stay. Guarding your speech is guarding your home, your loved ones, and your blessings." When we speak gently, our family feels light. When we speak harshly, the whole home becomes heavy. Some families are wealthy, yet always cold, not because they lack money, but because they lack kind words. Others are poor in possessions, but rich in joy, because their home is full of laughter and kind speech. The Buddha taught, "An evil word is like a burning coal thrown at another. If they avoid it, it falls back and burns your own feet." In a family, if everyone insists on being right, both end up wrong. But if one person knows how to yield, to stay quiet, to speak kindly, the fire of anger in the home will fade. Guarding the mouth is not losing, but preserving blessings for the whole family. Each time we hold back a harsh word, we keep a piece of peace for our home. Each time we speak a kind word, we plant another seed of merit in our household's field. Those who understand the Dharma know that blessings don't come from grand rituals, but from how we treat our loved ones each day. Many people go to temples and do charity everywhere, but at home they scold their spouse or shout at their children. They don't realize that the true temple lies in the kitchen, in the living room, in every family meal. When we speak kind words at home, that itself is a living sutra. There was an old grandmother who always taught her grandchildren, "Words at home should sound like the temple bell. When they ring, they bring peace to the heart." She was simple but wise. She knew that guarding the mouth is guarding merit, and that one's merit benefits not only oneself, but also the entire family line. A household where someone knows when to stay silent and when to speak will radiate peace. But a home full of arguments where everyone wants to win will always feel heavy, no matter how large or luxurious. The true blessings of a family lie not in wealth, but in the gentle energy among its members. People say, "Guard the mouth and you guard the home." Indeed, the mouth is the gate of the heart. When the heart is restless, the mouth causes harm. When the heart is calm, the mouth brings peace. A single harsh word can create distance, but a kind word can bring everyone closer. Observe this. A family meal filled with laughter and soft words tastes more delicious and fills the heart with warmth. But a meal full of complaints and criticism, no matter how fine the food, turns bitter. Words are the seasoning of happiness. Practitioners often say, practice is not only in temples, but in every word spoken at home. When parents speak kindly, children learn. When spouses speak with love, the household becomes harmonious. Such words are like a gentle stream, flowing endlessly, nourishing the family's blessings. Someone once asked a Zen master, "Master, how can I preserve happiness in my family?" The master replied, "Do not let your words run faster than your breath." That simple sentence holds the essence of mindful living. When we pause and breathe before speaking, our words change. Instead of reproach, there may be understanding. Instead of anger, there may be a smile. And with just such a small change, the whole home transforms. Try this. Every morning before leaving the house, speak a kind word. Have a peaceful day. Take care, or simply, thank you for the meal. Those small words are like seeds planted in the hearts of loved ones, soon to blossom into blessings. And every night, before sleeping, if something remains unresolved, softly say, "Let's let it go." Just those 3 words can keep a family whole. For a happy home needs not who is right, only who still loves. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete, for they know that one moment of silence brings peace to a home. and one gentle word adds a lifetime of blessings. Tonight, look upon the faces of your loved ones. Silently thank them for still being by your side. Then vow that from now on, every word you speak will be a kind one, to protect your home, your loved ones, and your own merit. In the next part, we will come to a touching story, the story of Brother Fong, when words saved a home, to see that sometimes just one timely, heartfelt word can change the fate of an entire family. Throughout life, we speak countless words. Some bring joy, others cause pain. Some are like cool breezes that soothe suffering, others like blades that cut deep into the heart. That is why the practice of speech is not about speaking well, but about transforming the roots of verbal karma with mindfulness, so that every word we utter carries the energy of awareness and love. The Buddha taught, before speaking, listen to your own heart, for words do not arise on their own. They are woven from our thoughts. When our mind is agitated, our words become heavy. When our mind is calm, our words become light as the wind. The true practitioner is one who does not correct their words, but corrects their mind before words are born. In life, we cannot avoid speaking, in work, in family, in daily interaction. But what matters is the state of our mind when we speak. If we speak in haste, anger, or pride, we create karma. If we speak with peace, understanding, and compassion, we create blessings. Once, a disciple asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, how can I speak without causing suffering?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Before speaking, take 3 breaths. 1 breath to return to the body, 1 to reflect on the mind, and 1 to send peaceful energy into your words. When the mind is calm, speech will naturally be kind. Breathing before speaking, that is the secret of right speech. 1 mindful breath can save an argument, preserve a relationship, and prevent heavy karma. For when we breathe, we pause, we return, and we clearly see the emotion rising within. Once that emotion is seen, it no longer controls us." Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When we breathe mindfully, each breath is a lotus blooming in the heart. And when the lotus blooms, our words naturally carry fragrance. When we breathe like this, our words are no longer to win, but to understand, to love, to bring peace to those before us. To speak mindfully is to speak like a cool breeze. When another is heated, do not add fire. Let your words be a gentle wind, helping them to calm. The wind does not argue with the fire. It simply blows softly until the fire fades. Those who truly practice never speak to prove themselves right. They speak to help others see themselves again, but with the energy of peace." Once, a disciple came to complain, "I spoke the truth, yet people were still angry." The Buddha asked, "You spoke the truth, but did you speak in peace?" The disciple was silent. The Buddha said, "When you drop a stone into still water, it ripples softly. When you drop it into boiling water, it splashes violently. The problem is not the stone, but the water." Such profound wisdom. Words themselves do not cause suffering. It is the energy behind them that creates karma. Therefore, to make speech a blessing, keep the mind like still water. Transforming verbal karma through mindfulness is to practice right within each sentence. For example, when someone says something that stirs irritation, instead of reacting, simply take a deep breath and tell yourself, "I am listening." Just those 2 words can dissolve half the anger. When we listen mindfully, we are not swept into the story, not quick to judge. And when it is our turn to speak, we speak with compassion, not with the need to be right. Rightness without compassion is stone. Compassion without rightness is water. Let our words flow like gentle water over the rock of wisdom. When wisdom and compassion unite, our speech becomes healing. A monk once shared, "Someone cursed me, I stayed silent. Someone scolded me, I smiled. Not because I suppressed myself, but because I saw they were suffering. If I responded, I would suffer too. That is mindfulness in speech. When we see that an angry person is one who is burning, we do not throw more fuel into the fire. We simply stand still and breathe. Practice speaking like cool wind, breathing like a lotus. When you speak, feel the breath flowing through your body. If your breath is hurried, your mind is unsettled. If your breath is slow, your mind is calm. Speaking with mindful breath is like singing at dawn. Every tone warm and bright. The listener does not just hear the words, they hear your soul. In meditation retreats, there is a practice called noble silence. It is not silence to avoid speech, but silence to nurture awareness. After hours of such silence, when people finally speak, their voices are slower, softer, more mindful, because mindfulness fills every syllable with light. The Buddha taught, when one speaks with mindfulness, words ring like a bell in the deep forest, awakening both the listener and the speaker. Each mindful word is an act of practice. One need not chant many sutras. A single kind word spoken mindfully carries immeasurable merit. Remember, the mouth is the gate, the mind is the master. If the master is calm, the gate is pure. If the master is restless, the gate is chaotic. Thus, to purify speech is not merely to guard the mouth, but to guard the mind. When the mind does not rise in anger, words become gentle. When the mind no longer clings to winning or losing, words become light. And wonderfully, when we speak mindfully, others are transformed too. They may be angry, but upon hearing your calm words, their anger softens. They may be suffering, but upon hearing your peaceful tone, they feel a reflection of peace within themselves. Tonight, you can begin right now. Before saying anything, take 3 deep breaths. Before reacting, smile a little. Before speaking judgment, ask yourself, will this word bring joy? Will it bring understanding? If not, stay silent. For silence in mindfulness is stronger than 1,000 empty words. When you can speak like this, every sentence becomes a cool breeze, every breath a fragrant lotus. And then you will realize practice is not far away. It is right here, in every word, every breath, every mindful moment of daily life. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete, for they know that mindfulness in speech is the path to peace. In the next part, we will go deeper into another aspect of words, the power of blessings and gratitude, to see that when we send kind energy through speech, life itself becomes surrounded by merit. There are words short yet deeply powerful, words of blessing, of gratitude, of simple, sincere greetings. Many think thank you is just politeness, but in the Buddha's teaching, it is a form of wholesome energy, the energy of appreciation and love. The Buddha taught, gratitude and the wish to repay it are the foundation of a virtuous being. When we say thank you with sincerity, we not only make others happy, but also purify our own hearts. In that moment, we recognize we do not live alone. We are sustained by countless conditions, people, and goodness around us. Practitioners often say, one who knows how to say thank you has begun to awaken. For when we are grateful, we no longer feel lacking, no longer feel life is unfair. Gratitude turns the ordinary into blessings, difficulties into lessons, and encounters into teachers. Words of gratitude need not be fancy, only heartfelt. Thank you for washing the dishes. Thank you, Mother, for the meal. Thank you, life, that I can still breathe today. Such simple words spoken with awareness are themselves practice. Each thank you is a lotus blooming in both the speaker's and the listener's hearts. A story tells of a middle-aged man who lost his job and was filled with resentment. He came to a temple and told a monk, "Life has treated me unfairly. I'm miserable." The monk smiled and said, From today, each morning write down 3 things you are grateful for and read them aloud. The man didn't believe it but tried. He wrote, "Thank you for the food I have today. Thank you that my wife and children are still with me. Thank you that I still have legs to walk." After a few weeks, his mind changed. He smiled more, spoke more gently, and strangely, a few months later, he found a new job perfectly suited to him. When the heart is grateful, our energy changes. Every word we speak carries a wholesome vibration. One who knows gratitude does not complain. One who does not complain has already begun to be free. Just like gratitude, blessings are also a form of practice. When we wish others well, we send out waves of loving energy, and miraculously, that energy returns to us. The Buddha taught, when you give rise to a thought of blessing for another, your own mind is being cleansed. Once, a disciple asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, if I bless others but they do not know it, does it still have meaning?" The Buddha replied, "Yes, because you are not only making them better, you are making yourself brighter." A simple blessing like, "May you be at peace," "Wishing mother good health," or "May someone be free from suffering," though small when spoken with a kind heart, plants seeds of merit. Those who understand the Dharma do not pray only for themselves, but for all beings. They say, "May all sentient beings be happy and free from suffering." These are not just words, but vibrations from the heart. When our mind radiates compassion, the universe responds with blessings. In one Dharma talk, a Zen master said, "If you want a lighter life, speak more words of blessing. Each morning, instead of complaining of tiredness, wish for a peaceful day. Each night, instead of lamenting hardship, bless all beings with good rest. In doing so, your mind will brighten and your karma will grow lighter." Indeed, words of blessing are like the fragrance of flowers spreading gently. When we say, "I wish you happiness," we lose nothing, yet the other receives warmth. Each blessing is a small ray of light, and when we make it a habit, our lives become surrounded by the light of merit. Someone once asked, "If I don't truly mean it and only say polite blessings, do they still bring merit?" The answer, not as much as sincerity, but still better than silence. For every kind word spoken, even without full depth, is a step in training the heart toward goodness. Gradually, as the heart opens, those words become true. Those who live in gratitude and often speak blessings naturally complain less. When we give thanks often, there is no space for resentment. When we bless often, jealousy fades away. And when we fill our speech with peace, kindness, and compassion, blessings will come naturally, like flowers blooming after rain. The Buddha taught, if you cannot give material gifts, give kind words. For sometimes a word of comfort, encouragement, or blessing is more precious than gold or silver. Such words lift people up, help them see light in darkness. And as we bring peace to others, our own hearts find peace. Tonight, before you sleep, try this small practice. Close your eyes and softly say, "I am grateful for this life, for being alive today. I am grateful for those who love me and those I can love. I wish all beings peace." Just those 3 simple lines, if spoken daily, will transform your energy. Your face will grow softer, your voice warmer, and those around you will feel at ease. Why? Because when our words become kind, our heart becomes bright. When the heart is bright, life naturally transforms. Gratitude and blessings are 2 doors that open to merit. The more we speak kind words, the lighter, calmer, and happier our life becomes. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete. For they know that instead of fighting, simply by saying thank you and offering blessings, we create a gentler world for ourselves and for others. In the next part, we will move into the topic compassion in speech, when love becomes language, to understand that speech is not only a tool of communication, but also a way to express compassion and sow blessings in life. Compassion is not only shown through actions, eyes, or smiles. It also lives in every word we speak each day. A truly compassionate person need not say lofty things. When they speak, others already feel gentleness, peace, and support. Compassion is the language of the heart, and when the heart speaks, words become Dharma. The Buddha taught, "One with compassion speaks as if pouring honey. Even a single sentence eases another's pain." Simple yet profoundly true, for speech carries energy, and that energy comes from the mind. When the mind holds compassion, words are kind. When the mind holds anger, words grow heavy. Thus, to speak with compassion, we must first cultivate the heart before opening the mouth. In life, we are easily swept by reaction. When someone speaks harshly, we reply more harshly. When someone hurts us, we respond with cold silence. But those who understand the way act differently. They see the suffering behind unpleasant words and, instead of reacting, respond with love. Once, a man hurled bitter insults at the Buddha. The Buddha sat calmly, his face radiant like the full moon. When the man grew tired, the Buddha said, "If someone offers a gift and I do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" The man stood still, then bowed his head. That is the power of compassion, the strength of one who cannot be dragged down by words. Compassionate speech is not about sugarcoating words, but speaking from understanding. We can speak softly yet firmly, gently yet clearly, truthfully yet lovingly. Compassion does not mean weakness. It is the soft power of wisdom. A father may say to his child, "I know you're angry, but don't let anger make you suffer." A mother may say, "You made a mistake, but I still love you." A friend may say, "I don't judge you, I just hope you find yourself again." Such words are simple, but they can awaken a lost soul. The Buddha said, "If you cannot teach with words, teach through the way you speak." That means our very manner of speaking is a Dharma teaching. When we speak from calmness, our words nourish others. When we speak from agitation, even truth can cause pain. True practitioners speak little, but every word carries wholesome energy. In a Dharma talk, a Zen master once shared, "In the past, I spoke fast, fearing others wouldn't understand. Later I learned, speaking slowly, gently, and with love helps people understand more deeply." That is true. When we speak with compassion, the listener does not just understand with the ears, but feels with the heart. Sometimes just one compassionate sentence can save someone in despair. Some who are about to collapse stand up again because of one warm word. Some filled with hatred find their anger dissolved by one word of understanding and love. That is the unseen power of speech, born from compassion. So how can our words always carry compassion? First, pause before speaking. Pause to breathe, to look deeply, to see that the other person is also suffering. When we see their suffering, we no longer wish to cause them pain. At that moment, our words naturally become gentle. Second, ask yourself before speaking, will this word help someone suffer less? If the answer is no, it is better to stay silent. Sometimes silence itself is an act of compassion. When we are silent in mindfulness, we are not adding more suffering to anyone. Third, speak with love as if speaking to yourself. When you speak, remember that you are the first listener. Therefore, speak so that even you feel light inside. If your own words make you uneasy, stop. They are not yet words of compassion. A person with compassion in speech does not need to give advice, yet those around them still feel peace. For they speak with a calm heart, a steady breath, and eyes of understanding. Sometimes they simply say, "It's okay, everything will be all right," and the listener sheds tears, not because of the words, but because they feel the sincerity within. Such words need no reasoning, no philosophy. They are the language of the heart, a language everyone understands without translation. In modern life, people speak a lot but understand little, perhaps because we speak with the mouth, not the heart. If each person learned to speak with compassion, the world would have far less suffering. Families would have fewer conflicts, friends fewer misunderstandings, and society less hatred. Tonight, try this small practice. Before saying anything, take a deep breath and ask yourself, if this were the last thing I ever said, would I want to say it this way? That question will make you pause. Breathe softly, and the words that follow will be different. Gentler, truer, and filled with love. When we speak with compassion, we are planting seeds of happiness in others, and those seeds will sprout within ourselves, growing into blessings. As the Buddha taught, one who speaks with compassion will be loved by people, protected by heaven, and always at peace. The wise do not argue, the enlightened do not compete, for they know that when compassion becomes language, every word is Dharma and every silence is meditation. In life, everyone longs to be heard, for to be heard is to be acknowledged, understood, and embraced in empathy. Yet the paradox is that though all wish to be heard, few truly know how to listen. We listen with our ears, but not with our hearts. We listen to reply, to react, but rarely to understand. And because of that, the world is full of words, but lacking in understanding. The Buddha taught, when you listen with compassion, you will hear the cries for help within others. This teaching seems simple, yet it contains an entire path of practice. Listening is not just a skill. It is the virtue of the wise. The longer one practices, the less they speak, but the deeper they listen. Listening with compassion means listening without judgment, without interruption, without reaction, without thinking we are right. When we listen like this, we are no longer in dialogue. We are embracing the suffering of another. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to sit and truly listen, and half the suffering is already gone. Once a woman came to the Buddha and said, "I suffer because my husband is angry. No matter what I say, he doesn't understand." The Buddha asked, "When he speaks, do you listen?" She replied, "I do, to know where he is wrong." The Buddha smiled. That is listening with the ego, not with compassion. To understand, you must listen with love. Listening with compassion is listening in the silence of the mind. When the other person speaks, we simply remain present. We need not rush to reply or prove anything, only to listen with awareness. This person is suffering. When we truly see that suffering, anger and the need to win fade away. Only then can listening heal. A Zen master once said, "If you want others to listen to you, first learn to listen to them." For when we listen with an open heart, the other naturally opens theirs. Then, when we finally speak, if needed, our words carry weight, for they come from understanding, not reaction. There is a beautiful story. A young woman once came to a monk, weeping, saying she wanted to end her life. The monk did not preach or advise. He simply sat in silence and listened as she cried for nearly an hour. When she grew quiet, he gently said, "You suffer much, but you still know how to cry. That means you are still alive." The girl laughed through her tears, and over time, she recovered. Just one simple sentence born from deep listening and boundless compassion saved her life. Practitioners know that to listen is to love. When we listen to someone, we are saying, "I see you, I understand you, I accept you as you are." That helps them feel seen, loved, supported. The greatest gift we can give, greater than any material thing. To listen with compassion, we must learn silence, not cold silence, but clear, mindful silence. When someone is speaking, do not interrupt. Take a slow breath. Calm your mind. Open your ears. Let them finish, even if they are wrong, repetitive, or confused. For at that moment, they don't need advice. They need space to release. When they are fully heard, they will see themselves more clearly. When we truly listen, we hear not only words, but the pain behind them. We hear what the other has not said, what they fear to say, what they cannot express. That is when we reach the deepest level of understanding and love. The Buddha taught, listen deeply to understand. Once you understand, love will arise. If we listen shallowly and misunderstand, even kind words cannot help. Only when we truly understand can our words become medicine, not blades. Thus, listening with compassion is the foundation of all mindful communication. In life, many relationships break not because love is gone, but because people stop listening. Wives stop hearing husbands, parents stop hearing children, friends stop hearing each other. Everyone speaks, everyone wants to be understood, but no one stays silent. Those who understand the way are different. They know how to be silent to listen, and in that silence they understand what words can never convey. Sometimes just listening is enough to save someone. A person in despair, if met with someone who listens without judgment, no longer feels alone. A person in anger, if heard by someone with calm, will cool down. Listening with compassion opens the door to understanding and healing. Tonight, try this practice. When someone speaks to you, whether loved one or stranger, listen without interrupting. Just look, just listen. As you listen, breathe slowly and silently. Repeat in your heart, I am listening to you with love. Just that one thought will keep your heart at peace. And when you are calm, that energy will naturally flow to the other person. They will feel it, and their own heart will soften. One who listens with compassion does not need to speak much, yet everyone near them feels peace. For such energy radiates effortlessly, needing no display, no proof. It is the energy of understanding, of love, of mindfulness. The wise do not argue, the awakened do not compete, for they know that sometimes the deepest form of love is not in speaking, but in listening. There is something curious about life. The less we understand, the more we want to argue. The more we want to prove ourselves, the further we drift from peace. But when we truly understand, we no longer need to win over anyone. For when wisdom blossoms, we see clearly that every argument is just two egos trying to defend their own illusion of self. The Buddha taught, the wise do not argue, for truth does not need to win. This teaching holds a profound lesson. In most communication, we do not speak to understand each other, but to protect ourselves. When someone says something unpleasant, we react immediately. We want to prove that we are right and they are wrong. But in doing so, we only disturb our peace and drain our energy. Have you ever noticed that after an argument, even when you win, you still feel tired, empty, and sad? That's because when we win over others with words, we lose to ourselves in peace. The Buddha said, when others are angry and you remain calm, that is the true victory. Letting go in communication does not mean staying silent out of weakness, but pausing deliberately to preserve virtue and protect the heart. The wise do not seek to win or lose, for they understand that every word spoken in anger plants an unwholesome seed. When the mouth is hot, words become fire, burning both sides. But when the mind is cool, words become water, nourishing understanding and love. Once, a disciple asked the Buddha, "If someone insults me, should I respond?" The Buddha smiled. "If someone throws a stone, must you pick it up and throw it back?" The disciple fell silent. The Buddha continued, "If you do not take it, the stone will fall to the ground. Likewise, if someone speaks harshly but your mind remains calm, their words will dissolve into the wind." In truth, those who speak ill of us are suffering too. Inside them burns the fire of restlessness, jealousy, or fear. When we understand that, we no longer wish to retaliate. Understanding replaces anger, not out of weakness but out of compassion. We see that they act out of ignorance, and reacting only drags us into the same vibration. The wise keep their mind like a still lake. When wind blows, the surface ripples gently and then settles again. But an untrained mind turns even a breeze into a storm. Thus, the Buddha taught, guard your speech to preserve your merit. Guard your mind to preserve your path. A story tells of a man who came to a temple and shouted harshly at the abbot. Due to a misunderstanding, he hurled every cruel word he could think of. The monk stood quietly, gazing at him with kind eyes. When the man finally calmed down, the monk said softly, I hear you, and I understand your pain. The man burst into tears. I never expected such gentleness, he said. I just wanted to release my anger. From that day on, he became the monk's devoted student. Just once, by not arguing, the monk dissolved a mountain of anger. In today's world, everyone has opinions. Everyone wants to be acknowledged. Social media overflows with debates, big and small. People talk much but understand little. Every comment can become an invisible blade, and every reaction wounds us first. Those who understand the Dharma know they need not prove themselves right. Living rightly is proof enough. Letting go in conversation is learning to place peace above being right. When you speak, ask yourself, is this necessary? Will it help reduce someone's suffering? If not, remain silent. Silence in mindfulness is not avoidance. It is wisdom in action. One who knows when to stop speaking is one who truly practices. Someone once asked the great master Ajahn Chah, Teacher, how should I speak when others are wrong? He replied, Speak only when your heart no longer needs to prove anything. Such a simple yet profound answer. For when the mind is agitated, even truth becomes a blade. But when the mind is still, even a gentle word becomes Dharma. Sometimes letting go does not mean walking away. It means pausing so as not to break more. One moment of restraint brings countless blessings. One act of silence lightens 1,000 karmas. We cannot control others' words, but we can choose our response. When we choose silence, we choose peace. When we choose understanding, we choose wisdom. Tonight, think back to a recent argument. If you had stayed silent then, would things have been different? Perhaps your heart would have been calmer and the other less hurt. Every conflict can end with a single breath. Inhale, know that you are angry. Exhale, smile at your anger. Just that, and you have already won yourself. The wise do not argue, the awakened do not compete, for they know that silence is the highest victory. Not victory over others, but victory over one's own anger, ego, and karma. Someone once asked, speaking creates karma, but silence causes misunderstanding. So should we speak or stay silent? This question, though simple, touches one of the most subtle lessons in practice, knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Only those who truly understand can find harmony between speech and silence, between wisdom and compassion. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught, before speaking, examine 3 things. First, is it true? Second, is it beneficial? Third, is it timely? If all 3 are right, speak. If even one is lacking, remain silent. This teaching is the perfect balance between words and stillness. For silence at the right time is wisdom, and speech at the right time is compassion. Words are the reflection of the mind. When the mind is bright, speech becomes wholesome. When the mind is calm, speech becomes light. When the mind is loving, speech becomes Dharma. But if the mind is disturbed, even beautiful words can wound. Thus, it is not speaking or silence that matters, but the state of mind behind them. Sometimes a single sentence spoken in mindfulness can heal more than 1,000 sermons. In one Dharma talk, a young monk asked a master, "Teacher, when should I speak?" The master replied, "When your words can ease someone's suffering." "And when should I be silent?" The master smiled, "When your words would only ease your own." The hall fell silent. The teaching was perfectly clear. Those who speak mindfully aim outward, to help, to share, to understand. Those who speak in ignorance aim inward, to release, to win, to assert. The harmony between speech and silence lies exactly there. Speak to share, be silent to listen. Speak to help others, be silent to guard your peace. Once we understand this, every word we speak becomes meaningful. Every silence we hold becomes sacred. The wise are not afraid to speak, nor afraid to be silent. They speak when it sows goodness, and they are silent when it protects the heart of the way. Once a disciple asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, why do you sometimes teach many words and at other times remain completely silent?" The Buddha replied, "When the flower blooms, I speak. When it has not yet bloomed, I am silent." Meaning, when the listener is ready, the teaching becomes a seed. When they are not, silence itself is the teaching. This answer reveals that silence is also speech when there is understanding within it, and speech is also silence when it carries mindfulness. A truly wise person is not bound by form. They can speak in the marketplace yet remain as peaceful as in meditation, or be silent in the crowd yet shine like the full moon. For they understand that speech is the vehicle. Silence is the foundation, not opposites but companions, like two wings of a bird or two streams flowing side by side in the heart of one who knows the way. In communication, sometimes a gentle word can save a relationship, yet sometimes 1 minute of silence can preserve a lifetime of peace. The untrained speak to fill the void. The practitioner speaks to create understanding. But the awakened, whether speaking or silent, emanate the same energy, mindfulness and love. Ajahn Chah once taught, "If you speak and the mind is still, then even much speech is silence. If you are silent but the mind is restless, then even silence is noise." This teaching shines like a lamp within us all. We may be silent outwardly, yet our mind is full of thoughts, fears, and blame. Such silence brings no peace. Meanwhile, there are those whose every word is calm and light, like the sound of wind chimes. They are speaking, yet meditating. When we unite the wisdom of silence with the compassion of speech, life becomes soft, balanced, and luminous. We no longer fear speaking wrongly, nor worry about being too quiet. We know that every word from a peaceful heart is a Dharma talk, and every silence with mindfulness is meditation. In a family, if one speaks with love and another listens with understanding, the home becomes a temple. In work, if one pauses before reacting and speaks at the right time with right words, all conflict dissolves. In society, if everyone practiced mindful speech and silence, the world would be as gentle as a morning garden. Tonight, practice this. Speak a little less, be silent a little more. Before you speak, ask your heart, is this necessary? Will it bring peace? If yes, speak with love. If not, smile and stay silent. Gradually, you will see speech and silence are not opposites, but two breaths of the same peace. The wise do not argue, the awakened do not compete, for they know that both speech and silence are Dharma, when there is mindfulness within. As long as we seek to prove ourselves right, crave recognition, or wish to win every conversation, the heart is not yet free. Competition is the root of suffering. Peace is the fruit of letting go. The awakened need not win over others or prove anything. They care only for one thing, keeping the heart unmoved, untouched by the storms of words and judgment. The Buddha said, "There is no enemy but anger, and no victory greater than conquering oneself." When we argue less, insist less, and seek to be right less, That is when we begin to truly win. Not victory over others, but over the ego within. One day, when praise or blame, gain or loss, right or wrong no longer disturb the mind, that is the day we are truly free. When someone insults you, you smile. When someone praises you, you smile. Because you know that all things come and go, only peace remains. Someone once asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, how can I live in the world without being swept away by its noise?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Be like one standing on the shore, watching the river flow. You see the water move, but you do not jump in. You hear the waves, but are not carried away." This is the essence of peaceful living. Amid countless words, we need not react to everything. We only need to keep the mind clear, letting all sounds pass like wind through the forest, leaving no trace. The awakened do not seek to change others. They turn inward to change themselves. They do not try to quiet the world. They quiet their own hearts. They know the world is noisy, but when one person becomes still, the space around them also becomes serene. Like in the dark of night, a single lamp can illuminate the whole room. When we no longer need to win or lose, the heart naturally expands. We see that everyone is suffering in their own way, walking the same path toward peace, only not yet knowing how. Seeing others like this, anger and hatred vanish. Only compassion remains. And in that compassion, the heart becomes soft like water, kind like earth, and bright like the moon. The awakened are not those who are always right, but those who know when to stop. Stop speaking when words are unnecessary. Stop anger when the heart heats up. Stop thinking when the mind grows restless. Each pause is a return inward. And with every return we see clearly. Peace was never outside. It has always been within. Once a disciple asked the Buddha, "I have practiced for many years, yet still feel uneasy. Why?" The Buddha replied, "Because you still want peace." The answer was short, yet deep. As long as you want, the mind still stirs. When you stop wanting, peace comes by itself. Peace cannot be achieved by seeking, only by letting go. Letting go of expectations, of stubbornness, of the need to win. Peace is not the absence of hardship, but the presence of calm amidst it. Not the absence of unpleasant words, but hearing them without anger. Not the absence of pain, but keeping love even while hurt. That is the state of the wise. Reflect on your life. How many times have you suffered arguing right and wrong? How many times have you felt pain for not being recognized? How many times have you hurt yourself because of someone's words? Only later do we realize no one made us suffer but ourselves. Others only touched our wounds. The pain remained because we had not healed. The wise do not argue, the awakened do not compete, for they know that every confrontation only prolongs suffering. Letting go, forgiving, and understanding are the true paths to freedom. When we no longer need to prove we are right, we touch wisdom. When we no longer wish to surpass anyone, we touch compassion. And when wisdom and compassion meet, that is true peace. Tonight, before sleep, sit quietly for a few minutes. Close your eyes gently and ask yourself, today, did I argue with anyone? Did my words hurt someone? Can I apologize, not with words, but with a kind intention? Then inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and whisper within, I let go to be at peace. Just that thought alone is enough to calm the heart. Life is not long. Each day that allows us to speak kind words, each night that lets us breathe in peace, each morning that greets us with sunlight, all are great blessings. Let us spend the rest of our days living gently, speaking kindly, listening with compassion, and resting in the silence of wisdom. For in the end, the greatest happiness is not in surpassing others, but in living with a heart free from comparison. Then we will truly understand peace is not a reward, but the true nature of the mind. It does not dwell in praise, in victory, or in recognition. It lives in the moment we pause, smile, and say to ourselves, I am enough. This is enough. And that is the final, simple yet profound lesson of one who understands the way. The wise do not argue, the awakened do not compete, for they have found the path back to themselves, the path of peace, wisdom, and boundless compassion. Thank you for listening to the podcast from Dharma in Motion. If these reflections bring you a little peace, a little clarity amid the busyness of life, may you keep that energy alive in each breath and step you take. The Dharma is never far. It simply lives in the moments when we slow down and listen to ourselves. If you find this content meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe to Dharma in Motion so that together we may nurture peace and wisdom every day. Dharma in Motion, where the Buddha's teachings flow as a gentle current through everyday life.